Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. Hello? Can you hear me? Okay, yeah. Sorry, I got up and I was like, oh my god, I gotta make myself a tea. I'm like really nervous. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Okay, hold on. I gotta turn on my, what do they call them? Your little like desk heater for your cups and stuff. What kind? Oh my god, it's Moomin tea. It's Moomin. This is the Lil My flavor. It looks really herbal. I don't know what flavor it is though. But I found it on like Amazon. They just had like Moomin character tea. Okay, I'm turning on my little desk heater so I can keep my tea warm. I know it sounds really silly to be like embarrassed or nervous of like reading out loud, but like, okay. Okay. Let me show you guys what I'm cooking, okay? Also, thank you for the resub. I'm so sorry if I missed anybody because I stepped away. Thank you guys. Yay! Alex, thank you so much for the resub. Thank you. And Skrunklebert. Thank you for the resub. Oh wait, oops, I'm sorry. Let me unsub it. Unsubscribe. There we go. Sorry to the unsubs. God, thank you so much for the 64. Holy 64 months, dude. When that number hits 70, oh my god. I forgot to tell you guys on the good news side, I'm actually in contact with the person who did our old sub badges, and I've been asking them if they'd be down to make some more, and they said, oh, of course. So, oh my god, I'm sorry. I also had desktop muted. TTS was muted, unmuted. My bad. So yeah, so we're finally gonna get some updated badges. It's been years. I haven't updated my sub badges since I showed my Reaper model like 4 years ago. I do have cider. Yes, tea and a beer, okay? That's not a weird combination as tea and a beer and a good book, okay? Oh my god, Dark Side, thank you so much for gifting a sub. Oh, oops, I'm like super zoomed in. Hi, oh my god, do you like my setup? Do you like my cute little setup? I have like a really cute extra thing I'm gonna show you guys, wait. A fucked up Arnold Palmer! Yes! Okay, I wanna add like comfy sounds like fire crackling and wave noises. And then maybe like, oh, right. Okay, chat, I want to experiment with something, but you guys got to be good about it, okay? Check it out. Hold on, I'm going to link it for the subs first. Okay, I thought because we are ADHD maxers in this household, while I doodle my little drawings, what if, boom, what if I had like a little screen where you guys could doodle while I read to you? And then I'll just have it in the background so people can draw like what they think of the like the pages or like the descriptions. They're like, ooh, I want to kind of draw that maybe. Maybe I'll just doodle on the page. You can do whatever you want. I don't care. You can draw cool S or whatever. You can draw cool S. Just please be nice, obviously. So I've never really used this, so we're probably gonna have to figure it out together. But maybe it'll work. Naughty, thank you so much for the prime. Thank you. And Kohi, thank you so much for the sub gifted. The sub bummy, thank you so much for the 5 gifted. Thanks. And Hawkeye, thank you so much for the 28 months at tier 3. Thank you. Thanks, guys. I hope you guys are excited for books. Like, I know this is not like the most thrilling content ever that a VTuber could do, but I'm not going for that. Like, I can proudly say that I'm not going for that today. I actually really do care about how much this is comforting to people. So I don't really do ASMR, so I won't really say it's like ASMR, but I will say that hopefully we can kind of capture that vibe, you know? Just relaxing. Let me sip my beer. Cheers, happy Friday, I think. I think. Oh, when I was talking to Maddie, because she's working on my main outfit right now, and we have a new toggle, and it'll be to hold a book. It's so cute. Wait, no, I shouldn't show you guys. I won't leak. Dang it. But it's a cute book, and she designed the cover of it, and it's a beautiful. So that's really cute. You know, that'll be great when we debut that. So I can hold a book, and it can just be more. I don't know. You know, it's like people hold controllers when they play a video game. I'm gonna hold a book when I read a book. Okay. And I'm sorry I couldn't choose anything a little bit more interesting, but I did pick out Warrior Cat. I was looking at my personal library and I mulled over a lot of different topics and I just saw Warriors and I was like, this would be a good first one because it's good to read, it's easy to read, and it's kind of funny. And who hasn't wanted to know what really happens in Warrior Cats, right? I know you guys have heard of Warrior Cats, and we've even watched like the old fan animations from back in the heyday. So this is gonna be good. Maybe you guys will finally get it. Maybe you'll like it, or maybe you'll laugh. It's okay if you laugh. I won't ask anybody to take it hyper serious. I just ask no spoilers, which is like a lot to ask, I guess. Cause like no, if a mod sees spoilers, they might not even know because they don't read Warrior Cats. All I just ask is no spoilers to any books that we're currently reading on stream. I really would love it if like I could end our current streams by reading a chapter or two. And I think it would be really cool if I switched kind of like the scene to this scene. So if you are a VOD watcher, you can kind of just find the area in the VOD and be like, oh, she's starting the book segment. I gotta catch up. I missed chapter 3, you know? So I'm sorry if that's like too ambitious and I'm just like really thinking people are gonna love this and you guys are gonna be bored out of your minds. But you know what? I don't know. I just like it, so I hope you guys like it. Anyway, you do manhwa reading as well? Oh, yeah. That would be kind of cool, wouldn't it? I read it in my free time, but it would be kind of interesting to go through it on stream. I feel like manga and manhwa can be hard because, and like, I might sound like stupid here, but somehow I think that's like way more copywritten. Is reading a book out loud copyright? I think I've been scarred by my job. I think copyright scarred me for life. I think becoming a streamer made me like a DMCA freak. And now I'm like, if I read this book out loud, will I get sued? My teachers used to read books, so like, right? Oh my god, Relativity, thank you so much for the gifted. Wow, thank you. Thank you guys. I think they can DMCA you, but it will literally never happen. But but I think it could happen, and even if it does happen, I think thankfully that it'll just suck and we'll be like, okay, different book, I guess. Different book, I guess, but thankfully Twitch is actually still pretty nice about DMCAing. So if you do get DMCA'd, they'll just be like, hey, bad news. VOD got deleted. Don't do it again. Don't do it at least 2 more times within the next 6 months. Is what they tell you. Just don't speedrun 3 DMCAs in 6 months and you are great. Yo, Bolts, thank you so much for the 48 months. Is there someone you ask about that? There could be. Oh my god, wait. Let me flip it. It's flipped. You guys drew on it. How do I flip it? Wait, rotation. Oh, here we go. There you go. I just ask you guys be nice, and like if you're ever done with a doodle or something, maybe just like erase it or whatever. Don't take too much space from one another. I'm gonna work on it, like I said, because this is kind of like my first time doing this, so. Okay. Let me see if we can get some nice like ASMR going for us. Where's the board for drawing? It's I just sent it in my sub stream channel in Discord. I might let it loose in the channel if I know that I have like a few staff around right now. I don't ask much of my staff, but if I don't see anybody alive in chat, I probably just won't risk doing something scary and just trust my chat. just trust the subs in Discord. But since I don't really know how to use the website just yet myself, I'm just like, don't know. If somebody draws a large cock, I'm not sure what I would do about that. Okay, wait. Beach waves and fire crackling, right? That's somebody's, like, ASMR. Oh my god. Campfire and ocean waves, white noise. Relax and focus sleep 10 hours. Oh my god. Okay, wait, what do you think of this? Is it good? Is that a good volume? Too loud? Too quiet? How in comparison to me? Testing, testing, reading, testing, blah, 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 blah. Okay, sorry, I was fixing my mic a little bit too, so I wouldn't have to, like, reach over so much while I'm reading. Sorry, I think the drawing board, wait, there we go, sorry. I had my other browser open, and sometimes, I don't know if this is just like me, but when I have like another window over my other browser, it just acts like it's dead. Oh my god, it's literally the myth of, like, if you scroll past a GIF, what happens? Does it just stop playing? It does! It does! It happened live on my stream, it does! Wait, I'm gonna pull you guys out for this, maybe. If I can't hold a book, I'll just hold you guys. Okay, I'm really nervous. I wanted this stream just to be dedicated to me trying to do this because, again, I'm just super nervous. This is my first time doing reading out loud in a professional way, trying to appease the ears of many. So, I think it'll be fine. I just am nervous. Hopefully TTS won't be too annoying. It'll also be pretty quiet too. I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit more maybe. Okay. So, Warrior Cat. Warrior Cats. This is a long series, but I don't know how much we'll read of it. We're gonna start with book 1, which is Into the Wild. The first saga I think is 4 books of the arc. After that, there's a lot more. The Prophecies, The New Prophecy, The Power of 3, Queen of the Stars, and Dawn of the Clans. So those are all sagas. Those are all, like, actual series instead of single-handled books. There's a lot. There's a lot of Warrior Cats, man. I haven't gotten into the full series myself. I just mostly read the first, second, and third book, I think. I've never read Omen of the Stars, that series. I don't know, chat, maybe if you guys are becoming diehard Warrior Cat fans after this. You'll want to. Oh my god, I forgot. Hold on, wait. I gotta pull something up really quick. I gotta show you guys the world map because that's a big important piece here. They don't have the one that I had. What? Oh, here we go. I think this is it. Did people actually use this amino site? It was like a fandom site. I found it on the Warrior Cat amino website. Lol. Okay, look at this, dude. Here's what you gotta know. Study this, bro. Study this. This is the key to warrior cats. This is the world of warrior cats, at least this series right now. Yes. So we have the major clans. We have Thunder Clan, River Clan, Shadow Clan, Wind Clan, and Star Clan. You can see the different like points on the map and which clans own which territory. Like River Clan camp is southwest near the water. Then you see Wind Clan almost the opposite of them, and Thunder Clan north of that, and stuff like that. So anyway. If you guys ever need an idea on what to search, you should look up the map. There's also a whole guide of the allegiances too. So if you ever need a refresher, it tells me like leader of ThunderClan, Blue Star, blue-gray she-cat tinged with silver around her muzzle. They have everybody by like leader, deputy, medicine cat, warriors, apprentices, queens, elders. Oh man, you guys are gonna get into it. So here's this little excerpt from the book. It starts with like a little paragraph. So maybe if I read this, you guys will be into it. No, wait, it's too embarrassing to read it out of a random spot. I won't read it. I'll start with the prologue, though. Okay. Okay, chat, are you ready? Oh my god. It might take me a minute to get into my groove, but okay. Okay, I hope you guys are all tucked up in bed. You got something cozy. I'm nervous. I'm so nervous. Oh my god, no. Okay. Game mode, game on, flame on. Okay. A half moon glowed on smooth granite boulders, turning them silver. The silence was broken only by the ripple of water from beyond the swift black river and the whisper of trees in the forest beyond. There was a stirring in the shadows. From all around, dark shapes crept stealthily over the rocks. Unsheathed claws glinted in the moonlight. Wary eyes flashed like amber. And then, as if on a silent signal, the creatures leapt at each other, and suddenly the rocks were alive with wrestling, screeching cats. At the center of the frenzy of fur and claws, a massive dark tabby pinned in bracken-colored Tom to the ground and drew up his head triumphantly. "Oakhart," the tabby growled. "How dare you hunt in our territory? The Sunning Rocks belong to ThunderClan. After tonight, Tiger Claw, this will just be another RiverClan hunting ground," the bracken-colored Tom spat back. A warning yell came from the shore, shrill and anxious. "Look out! More RiverClan warriors are coming!" Tiger Claw turned to see sleek, wet bodies sliding out of the water below the rocks. The drenched RiverClan warriors bounded silently up the shore and hurled themselves into the battle without even stopping to shake the water from their fur. The dark tabby glared down at Oakhart. "You may swim like otters, but you and your warriors do not belong in this forest." He drew back his lips and showed his teeth as the cat struggled beneath him. The desperate scream of a ThunderClan she-cat rose above the clamor. A wiry RiverClan Tom had pinned down the brown warrior flat on her belly. Now he lunged toward her neck, with his jaws still dripping from his swim across the river. Tiger Claw heard the cry and let go of Oakhart. With a mighty leap, he knocked the enemy warrior away from the she-cat. "Quick, Mousefur, run!" he ordered before turning on the RiverClan Tom who had threatened her. Mousefur scrambled to her paws, wincing from a deep gash on her shoulder, and raced away. Behind her, Tiger Claw spat with rage as the RiverClan Tom sliced open his nose. Blood blinded him for an instant, but he lunged forward regardless and sank his teeth into the hind leg of his enemy. The RiverClan cat squealed and struggled free. "Tiger Claw!" The yowl came from a warrior with a tail as red as fox fur. This is useless. There are too many RiverClan warriors. No, Redtail. ThunderClan will never be beaten. Tigerclaw yelled back, leaping to Redtail's side. This is our territory. Blood was welling around his broad black muzzle, and he shook his head impatiently, scattering scarlet drops onto the rocks. ThunderClan will honor your courage, Tigerclaw, but we cannot afford to lose any more of our warriors, Redtail urged. Bluestar would never expect her warriors to fight against these impossible odds. We will have another chance to avenge this defeat. He met Tigerclaw's amber-eyed gaze steadily, then reared away and sprang onto a boulder at the edge of the trees. Retreat, ThunderClan, retreat, he yowled. At once his warriors squirmed and struggled away from their opponents. Spitting and snarling, they backed toward Redtail. For a heartbeat, the RiverClan cats looked confused. Was this battle so easily won? Then Oakheart yowled a jubilant cry. As soon as they heard him, the RiverClan warriors raised their voices and joined their jeopardy in caterwauling their victory. Redtail looked down at his warriors. With a flick of his tail, he gave the signal and the ThunderClan cats dived down the far side of the Sunning Rocks, then disappeared into the trees. Tigerclaw followed last. He hesitated at the edge of the forest and glanced back at the blood-stained battlefield. His face was grim, his eyes furious slits. Then he leapt after his clan into the silent forest. Okay, chat, what do you think so far? What do you think? Let me know, how's the audio? I know I'm not, super great at reading, but, I'm still going through the prologue, but I'm just taking a little breathing break. Sorry if I make it kind of hard to read. I'm I don't know. I don't know, thank you. A smidge louder? Okay. Just taking a sippy. Okay. I'm positioning my microphone maybe to be at a better spot, so maybe it'll be easier for me to come through. Okay. In a deserted clearing, an old gray she-cat sat alone, staring up at the clear night sky. All around her in the shadows she could hear breathing and stirrings of sleeping cats. A small tortoiseshell she-cat emerged from a dark corner, her paw steps quick and soundless. The gray cat dipped her head in greeting. "How is Mousefur?" she meowed. "Her wounds are deep, Bluestar," answered the tortoiseshell, setting herself on the night cool grass. "But she is young and strong, and she will heal quickly." "And the others?" "They will all recover too." Bluestar sighed. "We are lucky to not lose any of our warriors this time. You are a gifted medicine cat, Spotted Leaf." She tilted her head again and studied the stars. "I am deeply troubled by tonight's defeat. ThunderClan has not been beaten in its own territory since I became leader," she murmured. "These are difficult times for our clan. The season of New Leaf is late, and there have been fewer kits. ThunderClan needs more warriors if it is to survive." "But the year is only just beginning," Spotted Leaf pointed out calmly. "There will be more kits when Greenleaf comes." The gray cat twitched her broad shoulders. "Perhaps. But training our young to become warriors takes time. If ThunderClan is to defend its territory, it must have new warriors as soon as possible." "Are you asking StarClan for answers?" meowed Spotted Leaf, gently, following Bluestar's gaze and staring up at the swath of stars glittering in the dark sky. "It is at times like this we need words of our ancient ancestors to help us." "Has StarClan spoken to you?" Bluestar asked. "Not for some moons, Bluestar." Suddenly, a shooting star blazed over the treetops. Spotted Leaf's tail twitched and the fur along her spine bristled. Bluestar's ears prickled, but she remained silent as Spotted Leaf continued her gaze upward. After a few moments, Spotted Leaf lowered her head and turned to Blue Star. It was a message from StarClan, she murmured. A distant look came into her eyes. Fire alone can save our clan. Fire? Blue Star echoed. But fire is feared by all the clans. How can it save us? Spotted Leaf shook her head. I do not know, she admitted. But this is the message StarClan has chosen to share with me. The ThunderClan leader fixed her clear blue eyes on the medicine cat. You have never been wrong before, Spotted Leaf, she meowed. If StarClan has spoken, then it must be so. Fire will save our clan. That's the end of the prologue! Okay, what did you guys think of like a fake first chapter? I think I will turn off, that scared the crap out of me. Let me turn off the TTS. I'm sorry. Thank you. Thank you, Tempo. Yeah, did you guys like it? I hope I'm pretty okay at doing it. I'm glad. Oh my god, if you guys get into words, I can't wait to talk about it with you, and like, it's so cute. I'm gonna turn it down really low. Thank you guys. I'm glad that you like it. Ooh, I'm so happy. Okay. Chapter 1. It was very dark. Rusty could sense something was near. The young tomcat's eyes opened wide as he scanned the dense undergrowth. This place was unfamiliar, but the strange sense drew him onward, deeper into the shadows. His stomach growled, reminding him of his hunger. He opened his jaws slightly to let the warm smells of the forest reach the scent glands on the roof of his mouth. Musty odors of leaf mold mingled with the tempting aroma of a small, furry creature. Suddenly, a flash of gray raced past him. Rusty stopped still, listening. He was hiding in the leaves less than 2 tail lengths away. Rusty knew it was a mouse. He could feel the rapid pulsing of a tiny heartbeat within his ear fur. He swallowed, stifling his rumbling stomach. Soon, his hunger would be satisfied. Slowly, he lowered his body into position, crouching for the attack. He was downwind of the mouse. He knew it was not aware of him. With one final check on his prey's position, Rusty pushed back hard on his haunches and sprang, kicking up leaves from the forest floor as he rose. The mouse dived for cover, heading toward a hole in the ground. But Rusty was already on top of it. He scooped it into the air, poking the helpless creature with his thorn-sharp claws, flinging it up in a high arc onto the leaf-covered ground. The mouse landed dazed, but alive. It tried to run, but Rusty snatched it up again. He tossed the mouse once more, this time a little further away. The mouse managed to scramble a few paces before Rusty caught up with it. Suddenly a noise roared nearby. Rusty looked around, and as he did so, the mouse was able to pull away from his claws. When Rusty turned back, he saw it dart into the darkness among the tangled roots of a tree. Angry, Rusty gave up the hunt. He spun around, his green eyes glaring, intent on searching out the noise that had cost him his kill. The sound rattled on, becoming more familiar. Rusty blinked open his eyes. The forest had disappeared. He was inside a hot, airless kitchen, curled up in his bed. Moonlight filtered through the window, casting shadows on the smooth, hard floor. The noise had been the rattle of hard, dried pellets as they were tipped into his dish. Rusty had been dreaming. Lifting his head, he rested his chin on the side of his bed. His collar rubbed uncomfortably around his neck. In his dream, he had felt fresh air ruffling the soft fur where the collar usually pinched. Rusty rolled onto his back, savoring the dream for a few more moments. He could still smell mouse. It was the third time since full moon that he'd had that dream, and every time, the mouse escaped his grasp. He licked his lips. From his bed, he could smell the bland odor of his food. His owners always refilled his dish before they went to bed. The dusty smell chased away the warm sense of his dream, but the hunger rumbled on in his stomach, so Rusty stretched the sleep out of his limbs and padded across the kitchen floor to his dinner. The food felt dry and tasteless on his tongue. Rusty reluctantly swallowed one more mouthful. Then he turned away from the food dish and pushed his way out through the cat flap, hoping that the smell of the garden would bring back the feelings from his dream. Thank you, Slick, for gifting a sub. Okay. Outside, the moon was bright. It was raining lightly. Rusty stalked down the tiny garden, following the starlit gravel path, feeling the stones cold and sharp beneath his paws. I like how they did that anonymously, too. Interesting. Okay, thank you. You made me lose where I was on the damn page. Okay. Starlit gravel path, blah, 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 blah. I'm gonna laugh. Now I can't hold my shit together because, hold on, I'm gonna, laugh, hysterically. Okay. Fuck. Oh, wait. Okay. Okay, you really are making me get it out of my system. Hold on, now I need a water. Suddenly I feel really hot. You threw me off. You threw me the fuck off, asshole. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. He made... Oh, okay. I forgot I gotta tell you guys this. There's a few things that they say that's like cat terms, okay? Not to make you guys weirded out by this, but, when they're gonna say make dirt, okay? When they say make dirt, you know, like... Okay. Rusty stalked down the tidy garden, following the starlit gravel path, feeling the stones cold and sharp beneath his paws. He made his dirt beneath a large bush with glossy leaves and heavy purple flowers. Their sickly sweet scent cloyed the damp air around him, and he curled his lip to drive the smell out of his nostrils. Afterward, Rusty settled down on top of one of his posts in the fence that marked the limits of his garden. It was his favorite spot, as he could see right into the neighboring gardens as well into the dense green forest on the other side of the garden fence. The rain had stopped behind him. The close-cropped lawn was bathed in moonlight, but beyond his fence, the woods were full of shadows. Rusty stretched his head forward to take a sniff of the damp air. His skin was warm and dry under his thick coat, but he could feel the weight of raindrops that sparkled on his ginger fur. He heard his owners giving him one last call from the back door. If he went to them now, they would greet him with a gentle word and caress and welcome him onto their bed, where he could curl, purr, and warm up on the crook of their bent knee. But this time, Rusty ignored his owner's voices and turned his gaze back to the forest. The crisp smell of the woods had grown fresher after the rain. Suddenly, the fur on his spine prickled. Was something moving out there? Was something watching him? Rusty stared ahead, but it was impossible to see or smell anything in the dark, tree-scented air. He lifted his chin boldly, stood up and stretched. one paw gripping each corner of the fence post as he straightened his legs and arched his back. He closed his eyes and breathed in a smell of the woods once more. It seemed to promise him something, tempting him onward into the whispering shadows. Tensing his muscles, he crouched for a moment. Then he leaped lightly down into the rough grass on the other side of the garden fence. Even if it says leaped, is it like leapt? Leaped down? Leapt down? What? Am I stupid, Chet? Leaped down? Is that really what you say? Leaped lightly down, I guess. It is like leapt, but they spelled it leaped. Like L-E-A-P-E-D. Leaped. I don't know, man. Fuck. Oh, sorry. Leapt and leaped are both right. Okay, I just think leapt sounds easier to say. Leaped just sounds goofy, I think. He leaped lightly down. Thank you. I probably will have a lot of like, Chad, what does this word mean? I'll have to ask a lot, I'm sure. Sorry, guys, I'm no professional and I'm not British. As he landed, the bell on his collar rang through the still night air. Where are you off to, Rusty? Meowed a familiar voice behind him. Rusty looked up. A young black and white cat was balancing ungracefully on the fence. Hello, Smudge, Rusty replied. You're not going into the woods, are you? Smudge's amber eyes were huge. Just for a look, Rusty promised, shifting uncomfortably. You wouldn't get me in there. It's dangerous. Smudge wrinkled his black nose with distaste. Henry said he went into the woods once. The cat lifted his head and gestured with his nose over the rows of fences toward the garden where Henry lived. That fat old tabby never went into the woods, Rusty scoffed. He's hardly been beyond his own garden since the trip to the vet. All he wants to do is eat and sleep. No, really. He caught a robin there, Smudge insisted. Well, if he did, then it was before the vet. Now he complains about birds because they disturb him from his dozing. Well, anyway, Smudge went on, ignoring the scorn in Rusty's mew. Henry told me there were all sorts of dangerous animals out there. Huge wild cats who eat live rabbits for breakfast and sharpen their claws on old bones. I'm only going for a look around, Rusty meowed. I won't stay long. Well, don't say I didn't warn you, purred Smudge. The black and white cat turned and plunged off the fence back down into his own garden. Rusty sat down in the coarse grass beyond the garden fence. He gave his shoulder a nervous lick and wondered how much of Smudge's gossip was true. Suddenly, the movement of a tiny creature caught his eye. He watched it scuttle under some brambles. Instinct made him drop into a low crouch. With one slow paw after another, he drew his body forward through the undergrowth. Ears pricked, nostrils flared, eyes unblinking, he moved toward the animal. He could see it clearly now, sitting up among the barbed branches, nibbling on a large seed held between its paws. It was a mouse. Rusty rocked his haunches from side to side, preparing to leap. He held his breath in case of the bell rang again. Excitement coursed through him, making his heart pound. This was even better than his dreams. Then a sudden noise of cracking twigs and crunching leaves made him jump. His bell jangled treacherously, and the mouse darted away into the thickest tangle of bramble bush. Rusty stood very still and looked around. He could see the white tip of a red bushy tail trailing through a clump of tall ferns up ahead. He smelled a strong, strange scent. Definitely a meat-eater, but neither cat nor dog. Distracted, Rusty forgot about the mouse and watched the red tail curiously. He wanted a better look. All of Rusty's senses strained ahead as he prowled forward, and he detected another noise. It came from behind, but sounded muted and distant. He swiveled his ears backward to hear it better. Paw steps, he wondered. But he kept his eyes fixed on the strange red fur up ahead and continued to creep onward. It was only when the faint rustling behind him became a loud, fast-approaching leaf crackle that Rusty realized he was in danger. It's right behind him. I do love your commentary. Also, hi everybody. We're just reading. We're in chapter 1 of the Warrior Cats book right now. If you want to listen along. The creature hit him like an explosion, and Rusty was thrown sideways into a clump of nettles. Twisting and yowling, he tried to throw off the attacker that had fastened itself to his back. It was gripping him with incredibly sharp claws. Rusty could feel spiked teeth pricking at his neck. He writhed and squirmed from whisker to tail, but he couldn't free himself. For a second, he felt helpless. Then he froze. Thinking fast, he flipped over onto his back. He knew instinctively how dangerous it was to expose his soft belly, but it was his only chance. He was lucky. The ploy seemed to work. He heard a hoof beneath him as the breath was knocked out of his attacker. Thrashing fiercely, Rusty managed to wriggle free. Without looking back, he sprinted toward his home. Behind him, a rush of paw steps told Rusty his attacker was giving chase. Even though the pain from his scratches stung beneath his fur, Rusty decided he would rather turn and fight than let himself be jumped again. He skidded to a stop, spun around, and faced his pursuer. It was another kitten, with a thick coat of shaggy gray fur, strong legs, and a broad face. In a heartbeat, Rusty smelled that he was a tom, and sensed the power and sturdy shoulders underneath the soft coat. Then the kittens crashed into Rusty at full pelt. Taken by surprise by Rusty's turnabout, it fell back into a dazed heap. The impact knocked the breath out of Rusty, and he staggered. He quickly found his footing and arched his back, puffing out his orange fur, ready to spring onto the other kitten. But his attacker simply sat up and began to lick a forepaw, all signs of aggression gone. Rusty felt strangely disappointed. Every part of him was tense, ready for battle. "Hi there, kitty pet," meowed the gray tom cheerily. "You put up quite a fight for a tame kitty." "Quitty? A tame quitty?" Rusty remained on tiptoe for a second, wondering whether to attack anyway. Then he remembered the strength he had felt in the kitten's paws, when he had pinned him down to the ground. He dropped onto his pads, loosened his muscles, and let his spine unbend. "And I'll fight you again if I have to," he growled. "I'm Gray Paw, by the way," the gray kitten went on, ignoring Rusty's threat. "I'm training to be a ThunderClan warrior." Rusty remained silent. He didn't understand what this gray what's-it was meowing about, but he sensed the threat had passed. He had hid his confusion by leaning down to lick his ruffled chest. "What's a kitty pet like you doing out in the woods? Don't you know it's dangerous?" asked Gray Paw. "If you're the most dangerous thing the woods has to offer, then I think I can handle it," Rusty bluffed. Gray Paw looked at him for a moment, narrowing his big yellow eyes. "Oh, I'm far from the most dangerous. If I were even half a warrior, I'd have given an intruder like you some real wounds to think about." Rusty felt a thrill of fear at these ominous words. What did this cat mean by intruder? "Anyway," Gray Paw meowed, using his sharp teeth to tug a clump of grass from between his claws. "I didn't think it was worth hurting you. You're obviously not from one of the other clans." "Other clans?" Rusty echoed, confused. Gray Paw let out an impatient hiss. "You must have heard about the 4 warrior clans that hunt around here. I belong to ThunderClan. The other clans are always trying to steal prey from our territory, especially Shadow Clan. They're so fierce, they would have ripped you to shreds. No questions asked." Gray Paw paused to spit angrily and continued. "They come to take prey that is rightfully ours. It's the job of ThunderClan warriors to keep them out of our territory. When I've finished my training, I'll be so dangerous, I'll have other clans shaking in their flea-bitten skins. They won't dare come near us. Rusty narrowed his eyes. This must be one of those wildcats Smudge had warned him about, living rough in the woods, hunting and fighting each other for every last scrap of food. Yet Rusty didn't feel scared. In fact, it was hard not to admire this confident kitten. "So you're not a warrior yet?" he asked. "Why? Did you think I was?" Graypaw purred proudly. Then he shook his wide, furry head. "I won't be a real warrior for ages. I have to go through training first. Kids have to be 6 moons old before they can even begin training. Tonight is my first night out as an apprentice. Why don't you find yourself an owner with a nice cozy house instead? Your life would be much easier," Rusty meowed. "There are plenty of housefolk who take in a kitten like you. All you have to do is sit where they can see you and look hungry for a couple days." "And they'd feed me pellets that look like rabbit droppings in soft slop," Graypaw interrupted. "No way! I can't think of anything worse than being a kitty pet. They're nothing but two-legged toys, eating stuff that doesn't look like food, making dirt in a box of gravel, sticking their noses outside only when the 2 legs allow them. That's no life. Out here it's wild, and it's free. Welcome and go as we please." He finished his speech with a proud spit and then meowed mischievously. "Until you've tasted a fresh-killed mouse, you haven't lived. Have you ever tasted mouse?" "No," Rusty admitted, a little defensively. "Not yet." "I guess you'll never understand," Graypaw sighed. "You weren't born wild. It makes a big difference. You need to be born with warrior blood in your veins, or feel the wind in your whiskers. Kittens born into 2-legged nests could never feel the same way." Rusty remembered the way he had felt in his dream. "That's not true," he meowed indignantly. Graypaw did not reply. He suddenly stiffened mid-lick, one paw still raised, and sniffed in the air. "I smell cats from my clan," he hissed. "You should go. They won't be pleased to find you hunting in our territory." Hold on, I'm gonna take a sip. Okay. Rusty looked around, wondering how Graypaw knew a cat was approaching. He couldn't smell anything different. But his fur stood on end at the end of the urgency in Graypaw's voice. "Quick," hissed Graypaw. "Run!" Rusty prepared to spring into the bushes, not knowing which way was safe to jump. He was too late. A voice meowed behind him, firm and menacing. "What's going on here?" Rusty turned to see a large gray she-cat strolling majestically out from the undergrowth. She was magnificent. White hair streaked her muzzle, and an ugly scar parted the fur across her shoulders, but her smooth gray coat shone like silver in the moonlight. "Blue Star!" He sighed. Graypaw crouched down and narrowed his eyes. He crouched even lower when a second cat, a handsome golden tabby, followed the gray cat into the clearing. "You shouldn't be so near the 2-legged pace, Graypaw," growled the golden tabby, angrily, narrowing his green eyes. I know, Lionheart. I'm sorry." Graypaw looked down at his paws. Rusty copied Graypaw and crouched low to the forest floor, his ears twitching nervously. These cats had an air of strength he had never seen in his entire life. Maybe what Smudge had warned him about was true. "Who is this?" asked the she-cat. Rusty flinched as she turned her gaze on him. Her piercing blue eyes made him feel even more vulnerable. "He's no threat," meowed Graypaw quickly. "He's not another clan warrior, just a 2-leg pet from beyond our territory." Just a 2-leg pet. The words inflamed Rusty, but he held his tongue. The warning look in Blue Star's stare told him that she had observed the anger in his eyes, and he looked away. "This is Blue Star. She's the leader of my clan," Greypaw hissed to Rusty under his breath, "and Lionheart. He's my mentor, which means he's training me to become a warrior." "Thank you for the introduction, Greypaw," meowed Lionheart coolly. Blue Star was still staring at Rusty. "You fight well for a two-legged pet," she meowed. Rusty and Greypaw exchanged confused glances. How could she know? "We've been watching you both," Blue Star went on, as if she had read their thoughts. "We wondered how you would deal with an intruder, Greypaw. You attacked him bravely." Greypaw looked pleased at Blue Star's praise. "Sit up now, both of you," Blue Star looked at Rusty. "You too, kitty pet." He sat up immediately and held Blue Star's gaze evenly as she addressed him. "Oh my god, Rusty, I'm so sorry." "Don't worry, it won't last long." "You reacted well to the attack, kitty pet. Greypaw is stronger than you, but you used your wits to defend yourself, and you turned to face him when he chased you. I've not seen a kitty pet do that before." Rusty managed to nod his thanks, taken aback by such unexpected praise. Her next words surprised him even more. "I have been wondering how you would perform out here, beyond the two-leg place. We patrol this border frequently, so I have often seen you sitting on your boundary, staring out into the forest. And now at last, you have dared to place your paws here." Blue Star stared at Rusty thoughtfully. "You do seem to have a natural hunting ability. Sharp eyes. You would have caught that mouse if you had not hesitated so long." "Really?" Rusty stammered. Lionheart spoke now. His deep meow was respectful but insistent. "Blue Star, this is a kitty pet. You should not be hunting in ThunderClan territory. Send him home to his two legs." Rusty prickled at Lionheart's dismissive words. "Send me home?" he meowed impatiently. Blue Star's words had made him glow with pride. She had noticed him. She had been impressed by him. "But I've only come here to hunt for a mouse or two. I'm sure there's enough to go around." Blue Star had turned her head to acknowledge Lionheart's words. Now her gaze snapped back to Rusty. Her blue eyes were blazing with anger. "There's never enough to go around," she spat. "If you didn't live such a soft, overfed life, you would know that." Rusty was confused by Blue Star's sudden rage, but one glance at the horrified look on Greypaw's face was enough to tell him he had spoken too freely. Lionheart stepped to tell him and take his leader's side. Both warriors loomed over him now. Rusty looked into Blue Star's threatening stare, and his pride dissolved. Those were not the cozy fireside cats he was dealing with. They were mean, hungry cats who were probably going to finish what Greypaw had started. End of chapter 1. Okay, I'm going to take a little break for a sec. Okay, what did you guys think of the first chapter? I know I fumbled a little bit, but practice makes perfect. Thank you guys, thank you. Oh wait, oh my god, the drawing, I forgot. Dang it. Ah, oh my god. Oh my god. There's so many doodles now. Wait, let me zoom it up a little bit more for you guys. Cute! So cute! Okay, I'm just stretching my hands a little bit. I didn't realize that, like, oh my gosh. My like, thumb is cramping from holding the book open. Yo, Kite, thank you so much for the 1 year, 1 year, oh my gosh. And Killer, thank you so much for the 3 months in advance. Oh my god, he said yes. Yes, I want more. Nice. Oh my god. Book holding stand. That's true, yeah. Oh, my thumb is so sore. I want to get better at doing the voices too. I can't tell, like, Graypaw and Rusty are both kittens, so it's kind of hard to be like, what the fuck would a kitten sound like? Meow. Meow. You guys want some more? It's taken about an hour for the intro in chapter 1, so I am curious to see how long it takes to time myself here per chapter. So I'll probably read another chapter or 2 at least. So maybe we make it up to chapter 3 today. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see how you guys feel after chapter 2. Thank you. I'm so glad you guys like it too. It's just so, it's awesome. I love reading, so, and it feels nice to be able to share it with you guys and like theory craft or have favorite characters and like, I don't know. There is animal death in this. Like if you guys haven't seen or probably kind of surmised already, there's like gore depictions, blood, and there is animal death. I'm just gonna tell you now, I have cried at these books. And I will probably cry reading it to you. So if I start like choking up, I am so sorry. Because yeah, yeah. Anyway, so and I'm a softie. I have cats, so it hurts. But I'm just warning you guys if you get sensitive to this that there is some, you know, like there's cat war and shit. So whatever. Do you think the reading will continue? Yes, oh my god, yes. This is my first time going. I've been planning this for a long time. It'll only get more better, I think. Like I'll get more to accommodate it. And the skill to try. Stretching! Oh, okay. So far that was 20 pages. Chapter 2. Well, hissed Blue Star, her face only a mouse length away from his now. Lionheart remained silent as he towered over Rusty. He flattened his ears and crouched under the golden warrior's cold stare. His fur prickled uncomfortably. I am no threat to your clan, he meowed, looking down at his trembling paws. You threaten our clan when you take our food, yelled Blue Star. You have plenty of food in your two-leg place already. You come here only to hunt for sport, but we hunt to survive. The truth of the warrior queen's words pierced Rusty like a black thorn. He suddenly understood her anger. He stopped trembling, sat up, and straightened his ears. He raised his eyes to meet hers. I had not thought of it that way before. I am sorry, he meowed solemnly. I will not hunt here again. Blue Star let her hackles fall and signaled to Lionheart to step back. You are an unusual kitty pet, Rusty, she meowed. Graypaw's sigh of relief made Rusty's ears twitch. He heard the approval in Blue Star's voice and noticed as she swapped a meaningful glance with Lionheart. The look made him curious. What flashed between the two warriors? Quietly, he asked, is survival here really so hard? Our territory covers only part of the forest, answered Blue Star. We compete with other clans for what we have. And this year, late New Leaf means prey is scarce. Is your clan very big? Rusty meowed, his eyes wide. Big enough, replied Blue Star. Our territory can support us, but there is no prey left over. Are you all warriors then? Rusty meowed. Blue Star's guarded answers were just making him more and more curious. Lionheart answered him. Some are warriors. Some are too young or too old or too busy caring for kits to hunt. And you live and share your prey together? Rusty murmured in awe, thinking a little guiltily of his own easy, selfish life. Blue Star looked again at Lionheart. The golden tabby stared back at her steadily. At last she returned her gaze to Rusty and meowed. Perhaps you should find out these things for yourself. Would you like to join the Thunder Clan? Rusty was so surprised he couldn't speak. Blue Star went on. If you did, you would train with Greypaw to become a clan warrior. But kitty pets can't be warriors, Greypaw blurted out. They don't have warrior blood. A sad look clouded Blue Star's eyes. Warrior blood, she echoed with a sigh. Too much of that has been spilled lately. Blue Star fell silent, and Lionheart meowed. Blue Star is only offering you training, young kit. There is no guarantee you would become a full warrior. It might prove too difficult for you. After all, you are used to a comfortable life. Rusty was stung by Lionheart's words. He swung his head back to face the golden tabby. Why offer me the chance, then? But it was Blue Star who answered. You are right to question our motives, young one. The fact is, ThunderClan needs more warriors. Understand that Blue Star does not make this offer lightly, warned Lionheart. If you wish to train with us, we will have to take you to our clan. You must either live with us and respect our ways, or return to your two-leg place and never come back. You cannot live with a paw in each world. A cool breeze stirred the undergrowth, ruffling Rusty's fur. He shivered, not with the cold, but with the excitement at the incredible possibilities opening up in front of him. Are you wondering if it's worth giving up your comfortable life, kitty pet? Asked Blue Star. But do you realize the price you will pay for your warmth and food? Rusty looked at her, puzzled. Surely his encounter with these cats had proven to him just how easy his luxurious life was. I can tell that you are still a Tom, Blue Star added, despite the two-leg stench that clings to your fur. What do you mean, still a Tom? You haven't yet been taken to the two legs to see the cutter, meowed Blue Star gravely. You would be a very different cat by then. Not quite so keen to fight a clan cat, I suspect. Rusty was confused. He suddenly thought of Henry, who had become fat and lazy since his visit to the vet. Was that what Blue Star meant by the cutter?
Balls.
And Mathleen wanted everybody to know that that was his beautiful... Thank you, Mathleen. Audie, thank you so much for the 7 gifted. Thank you. Hold on, I'm going to scratch my back really quick. Thank you guys so much. Sorry again if I've forgotten anything. I think while I do this, I'll probably have to, have a cue to read off of and thank anybody during the segments that I'm reading. In an after, kind of like how VTubers do the, oh, what are they called? The super chat readings and stuff. Kind of like a dedicated segment to saying thanks to everybody. The clan may not be able to offer you such easy food or warmth, continued Blue Star. In the season of leaf bear, nights in the forest can be cruel. The clan will demand great loyalty and hard work. You will be expected to protect the clan with your life if necessary. And there are many mouths to feed, but the rewards are great. You will remain a Tom. You will be trained in the ways of the wild. You will learn what it is to be a real cat. The strength and fellowship of the clan will always be with you, even when you hunt alone. Rusty's head reeled. Blue Star seemed to be offering him the life he had lived so many times, and so tantalizingly. In his dreams, but could he live like that for real? For real? Lionheart interrupted his thoughts. Come, Blue Star, let's not waste any more time here. We must be ready to join the other patrol at Moon High. Tiger Claw will wonder what has become of us. He stood up and flicked his tail expectantly. I do realize I have to practice my breathing a bit more because I'm trying to hiccup. I'm gonna hiccup. Wait, Rusty meowed. Can I think about your offer? Blue Star looked at him for a long moment and nodded. Lionheart will be here tomorrow at sun-high, she told him. Give him your answer then. Blue Star murmured a low signal, and in a signal movement, the 3 cats turned and disappeared into the undergrowth. Rusty blinked. He stared, excited, uncertain, up past the ferns that encircled him, through the canopy of leaves to the stars that glittered in the sky. The scent of the clan cats still hung heavy in the evening air, and as Rusty turned and headed for home, he felt a strange sensation inside of him, tugging him back into the depths of the forest. His fur prickled deliciously in the light wind, and the rustling leaves seemed to whisper his name into the shadows. Okay, end of chapter 2. Cat sitting very comfortable. I just took a little break, so I might just run into chapter 3 really quick and see. That was only like a few pages long. Chapter 3. That morning, as Rusty slept off his night's wandering, the mouse dream came again. Even more vivid than before, free of his collar, beneath the moon, he stalked the timid creature. But this time, he was aware of being watched. Shining from the shadows of the forest, he saw dozens of yellow eyes. The clan cats had entered his dream world. Rusty woke, blinking in the bright sunshine that was streaming across the kitchen floor. His fur felt heavy and thick with warmth. His food bowl had been topped up, and his water bowl rinsed and filled with bitter-tasting 2-leg water. Rusty preferred drinking from puddles outside, but when it was hot or he was very thirsty, he had to admit it was easier to lap up the water indoors. Could he really abandon this comfortable life? He ate, then pushed his way out of the cat flap into the garden. The day promised to be warm, and the garden was heavy with the smell of early blossoms. "Hello, Rusty," meowed a voice from the fence. It was Smudge. "You should have been awake an hour ago. The baby sparrows were out stretching their wings." "Did you catch any?" Rusty asked. Smudge yawned and licked his nose. "Couldn't be bothered. I'd already eaten enough at home. Anyway, why weren't you out earlier? Yesterday you were complaining about Henry sleeping his time away, and today you're not much better yourself." Rusty sat down on the cool earth beside the fence and curled his tail neatly over his front paws. "I was in the woods last night," he reminded his friend. At once he felt the blood stir in his vein and his fur stiffen. Smudge looked down at him, his eyes wide. "Oh, yes, I forgot. How was it? Did you catch anything? Or did anything catch you?" Rusty paused, not sure how to tell his old friend what had happened. "I met some wild cats," he began. "What?" Smudge was clearly shocked. "Did you get into a fight?" "Sort of." Rusty could feel the energy surging through his body again as he recalled the strength and power of his clan cats. "Were you hurt? What happened?" Smudge prompted him eagerly. "There were 3 of them, bigger and stronger than any one of us." "And you fought all 3 of them!" Smudge interrupted, his tail twitching with excitement. "No," Rusty meowed hastily. "Just the youngest one. The other 2 came later." "How come they didn't shred you to pieces?" "They just warned me to leave their territory. But then," Rusty hesitated. "What?" meowed Smudge impatiently. "They asked me to join their clan." Smudge's whisker quivered disbelievingly. "They did," Rusty insisted. "And why would they do that?" "I don't know," Rusty admitted. "I think they need extra paws in their clan." "Sounds a bit odd to me," Smudge meowed doubtfully. "I wouldn't trust them if I were you." Rusty looked at Smudge. His black and white friend had never shown any interest in venturing into the woods. He was perfectly content living with his housefolk. He would never understand the restless longing that Rusty's dreams stirred in him night after night. "But I do trust them," Rusty purred softly. "And I've made up my mind. I'm going to join them." Smudge scrambled down from the fence and stood in front of Rusty. "Please don't go, Rusty," he meowed in alarm. "I might never see you again." Rusty nudged him affectionately with his head. "Don't worry. My housefolk will get another cat. You'll get on with him just fine. You get along with everyone." "But it won't be the same," Smudge wailed. Rusty twitched his tail impatiently. "That's just the point. If I stay around here till they take me to the cutter, I won't be the same either." Smudge looked puzzled. "The cutter?" he echoed. "The vet," Rusty explained. "To be altered, like Henry was." Smudge shrugged and stared down at his paws. "But Henry's all right," he mumbled. I know he's a bit lazier now, but he's not unhappy. We could still have fun." Rusty felt his heart fill with sadness at the thought of leaving his friend. "I'm sorry, Smudge. I'll miss you, but I have to go." Smudge didn't reply, but stepped forward and gently touched Rusty's nose with his own. "Fair enough. I see I can't stop you, but at least let's spend one more morning together."
Yay.
I'm gonna have a little bit of beer. Where's my beer? My cider. Chat, your drawings are so beautiful.
Your face.
This is literally the best idea I ever had. I'm like so happy. I'm like vibe maxing so hard. I love looking over. You guys are drawing so cute. Really good, cool S as well. Oh my god, we have so many Rusties. They've been summoned. So many Rusty chatters who are like, "Hello? Huh?" Rusty found himself enjoying the morning even more than usual, visiting his old haunts with Smudge, sharing words with cats he had grown up with. Every one of his senses felt supercharged, as if he were poised before a huge jump. Oh, Trinity, thank you so much for the gifted as well, thank you. As Sunhigh approached, Rusty grew more and more impatient to see if Lionheart would really be waiting for him. The idle buzz of meows from his old friend seemed to fade into the background as all his senses strained towards the woods. Rusty jumped down from his garden fence for the last time and crept into the woods. He had said his goodbyes to Smudge. Now all of his thoughts were focused on the forest and the cats who lived in it. As he approached the spot where he had met with the clan cats the night before, he sat down and tasted the air. Tall trees shielded the ground from midday sunshine, making it comfortably cool. Here and there, a patch of sunlight shone through the gap in the leaves and lit up the forest floor. Rusty could smell the same cat scent as last night, but he had no idea whether it was old or new. He lifted his head and sniffed uncertainly. "You have a lot to learn," meowed a deep voice. "Even the tiniest clan kit knows when another cat is nearby." Rusty saw a pair of green eyes glinting from beneath the bramble bush. Now he recognized the scent. It was Lionheart. "Can you tell if I'm alone?" asked the golden tabby, stepping into the light. Hastily, Rusty sniffed again. The scents of Blue Star and Grey Paw were still there, but not as strong as the previous night. Hesitantly, he meowed. "Blue Star and Grey Paw aren't with you this time." "That's right," meowed Lionheart. "But someone else is." Rusty stiffened as a second clan cat strode into the clearing. "This is Whitestorm," purred Lionheart, "one of ThunderClan's senior warriors." Rusty looked at the Tom and felt his spine tingle with cold fear. Was this a trap? Long-bodied and muscular, Whitestorm stood in front of Rusty and gazed down at him. His white coat was thick and unmarked, and his eyes were yellow of sun-baked sand. Rusty flattened his ears warily and tensed his muscles in preparation for a fight.
Relax before your fear scent brings unwanted attention, growled Lionheart. We're only here to take you to our camp. Rusty sat very still, hardly daring to breathe, as Whitestorm stretched his nose forward and gave him a curious sniff. Hello, young one, murmured the white cat. I've heard a lot about you. Rusty dipped his head in greeting. Come, we can speak more once we are in the camp, ordered Lionheart, and without pausing, he and Whitestorm leaped away into the undergrowth. Rusty jumped to his paws and followed as quickly as he could. The two warriors made no allowances for Rusty as they sped through the forest, and before long, he was struggling to keep up. Their pace barely slowed as they led him over fallen trees that they had cleared in a single leap, but which Rusty had to scramble over paw by paw. They passed through sharply fragrant pine trees, where they had to jump across deep gullies churned by a two-legged tree-eater. From the safety of his garden fence, Rusty had often heard it roaring and snarling in the distance. One gully was too wide to jump, half filled with slimy, foul-smelling water. The clan cats waded through without hesitating. Rusty had never put a paw in water before, but he was determined not to show any signs of weakness, so he narrowed his eyes and followed, trying to ignore the uncomfortable wetness that soaked his belly fur. At last, Lionheart and Whitestorm paused. Rusty skidded to a halt behind them and stood panting while the two warriors stepped onto a rock that rested on the edge of a small ravine. We are very close to our camp now, meowed Lionheart. Rusty strained to see any signs of life. Moving leaves, a glimpse of fur among the bushes below, but his eyes saw nothing except for the same undergrowth that covered the rest of the forest floor. Use your nose. You must be able to scent it, hissed Whitestorm impatiently. Rusty closed his eyes and sniffed. Whitestorm was right. The scents were very different from the cat scent he was used to. The air had smelled stronger, speaking of many, many different cats. He nodded thoughtfully and announced, I can smell cats. Oh, that's the classic line right there. I can smell cats. Lionheart and Whitestorm exchanged amused looks. There will be a time, if you are accepted into the clan, when you will know each cat scent by name, Lionheart meowed. Follow me. He led the way nimbly down the boulders to the bottom of the ravine and pushed his way through a thick patch of gorse. Rusty followed, and Whitestorm took up the rear. As his sides scraped against the prickly gorse, Rusty looked down and noticed that the grass beneath his paws was flattened into a broad, strong-smelling track. This must be the main entrance to the camp, he thought. Beyond the gorse, a clearing opened up. The ground at the center was bare, hard earth shaped by many generations of paw steps. The camp had been here for a long time. The clearing was dappled by sunshine, and the air felt warm and still. Rusty looked around, his eyes wide. There were cats everywhere, sitting alone or in groups, sharing food or purring quietly as they groomed one another. Just after sun-high, when the day is hottest, it is time for sharing tongues, Lionheart explained. Sharing tongues? Rusty echoed. Clan cats always spend time grooming each other and sharing the news of the day, Whitestorm told him. We call it sharing tongues. It is a custom that binds the members of the clan together. No, don't call them freaks. They're not freaks. No, chat. They're cleaning. You guys want to share tongues? The cats had obviously smelled Rusty's foreign scent, for heads began to turn and stare curiously in his direction. Suddenly, Suddenly shy of meeting any cat's gaze directly, Rusty looked around the clearing. It was edged with a thick... Oh God, what happened? I just got scared. Oh my God, I nearly crapped myself. The whole page like darkened for a sec. Oh my God, sorry. A thick curtain of ferns and gorse shielded the camp from the rest of the woods. Over there, meowed Lionheart, flicking his tail toward an impenetrable-looking tangle of brambles, is the nursery where the kits are cared for. Rusty switched his ears toward the bushes. He couldn't see it through the knot of prickly branches, but he could hear the mewling of several kittens from somewhere inside. As he watched, a ginger she-cat squirmed out through the small gap in the front. That must be one of the queens, Rusty thought. A tabby queen with a distinctive black marking appeared around the bramble bush. The two she-cats exchanged a friendly lick between the ears before the tabby slipped inside, murmuring to the squealing kittens. The care of our kits is shared by all of the queens, meowed Lionheart. All cats serve the clan. Loyalty to the clan is the first law in our warrior code. A lesson you must quickly learn if you wish to stay with us. Here comes Blue Star, meowed White Storm, sniffing the air. Rusty sniffed the air too, and was pleased that he was able to recognize the scent of the gray she-cat a moment before she appeared from the shadow of a large boulder that lay beside them at the head of the clearing. He came, Blue Star purred, addressing the warriors. White Storm replied, Lionheart was convinced he would not. Rusty noticed the tip of Blue Star's tail twitch impatiently. Well, what do you think of him? She asked. He kept up well with the return of the journey, despite his puny size, White Storm admitted. He certainly seems strong for a kitty pet. So it is agreed, Blue Star looked at Lionheart and White Storm. Both cats nodded. Then I shall announce his arrival to the clan. Blue Star leaped up to the boulder and yowled. Let all those cats old enough to catch their own prey join here beneath the high rock for a clan meeting. Her clear call brought all the cats trotting toward her, emerging like liquid shadows from the edges of the clearing. Rusty stayed where he was, flanked by Lionheart and White Storm. The other cats settled themselves below the high rock and looked expectantly at their leader. Rusty felt a rush of relief. Oh my God. A rush of relief as he pissed himself in fear. I am so sorry. I took some liberties there. Hold on. Rusty felt a rush of relief as he recognized Gray Paw's thick gray fur among the cats. Beside him sat a young tortoiseshell queen, her black-tipped tail tucked neatly over her small white paws. A large, dark gray tabby crouched behind them, the black stripes on his fur looking like shadows on a moonlit forest floor. When the cats were still, Blue Star spoke. ThunderClan needs more warriors, she began. Never before have we had so few apprentices in training. It has been decided that ThunderClan will take an outsider to be a warrior. Rusty heard the indignant mutterings erupt among the clan cats, but Blue Star silenced them with a firm yowl. I have found a cat who is willing to become an apprentice of ThunderClan.
Lucky to become an apprentice,
caterwauled a loud voice above the ripple of shock that spread through the cats. Rusty craned his neck and saw a pale tabby cat standing up and glaring defiantly at the leader. I don't know why I kept trying to read that one backwards. There will be moments. There will be moments of hesitation. Blue Star ignored the tabby and addressed all of her clan. Lionheart and White Storm have met this young cat, and they agree with me that we should train him with the other apprentices. Rusty looked up at Lionheart, then back at the clan, to find all eyes were on him now. His fur prickled, and he swallowed nervously. There was silence for a moment. Rusty was sure they must be able to hear his heart pulsing and the smell of his fear scent. Now a deafening crescendo of caterwauling rose from the crowd. Where does he come from? Which clan does he belong to? What a strange scent he carries. That's not the scent of any clan I know. Then one yowl in particular sounded out above the rest. Look at his collar. He's a kitty pet. It was the pale tabby again. Once a kitty pet, always a kitty pet. This clan needs wild-born warriors to defend it, not another soft mouth to feed. Lionheart bent down and hissed into Rusty's ear. That tabby is Longtail. He smells your fear. They all do. You must prove to him and the other cats that your fear won't hold you back. But Rusty couldn't move. How could he ever prove to these fierce cats that he wasn't just a kitty pet? The tabby continued to jeer at him. Your collar is a mark of the two legs, and that noisy jingling will make you a poor hunter at best. At worst, it will bring the two legs into our territory, looking for a poor lost kitty pet who fills the woods with his pitiful tinkling. All the cats howled in agreement. Longtail went on, well aware that he had the support of his audience. The noise of your treacherous bell will alert the enemies, even if your two-leg stench doesn't. Lionheart hissed into Rusty's ear once more. Do you back down from a challenge? Rusty still did not move, but this time he was trying to point Longtail's position. There he was, just behind a dusky brown queen. Rusty flattened his ears, narrowed his eyes, and hissing, leapt through the startled cats to fling himself onto the tormentor. Longtail was completely unprepared for Rusty's attack. He staggered sideways, losing his footing on the hard-baked earth. Filled with rage and desperate to prove himself, Rusty dug his claws deep into the tabby's fur and sank his teeth. No subtle rituals of swiping and boxing preceded this fight. The two cats were locked in a screaming, writhing tussle that flipped and somersaulted around the clearing at the heart of the camp. The other cats had to spring out of the way to avoid the screeching whirlwind of fur. As Rusty scratched and struggled, he was suddenly aware that he had felt no fear, only exhilaration. Through the roaring of the blood in his ears, he could hear the cats around them wailing with excitement. Then Rusty felt his collar tighten around his neck. Longtail had gripped it between his teeth, and he was tugging and tugging hard. Rusty felt a terrible pressure at his throat. Unable to breathe, he started to panic. He writhed and twisted, but each movement only made the pressure worse. Retching and gulping for air, he summoned all his strength and tried to pull away from Longtail's grip, and suddenly, with a loud snap, he was free. Longtail tumbled away from him, and Rusty scrambled to his paws and looked around. Longtail was crouching 3 tail lengths away, and dangling from Longtail's mouth, Rusty saw his collar, mangled and broken. At once, Blue Star leaped down from the high rock and silenced the noisy crowd with a thunderous caterwaul. Rusty and Longtail remained fixated to the spot, gasping for breath. Clumps of fur hung from their ruffled coats. Rusty could feel a cut stinging above his eye. Longtail's left ear was badly torn, and blood dripped down his lean shoulders onto the dusty ground. They stared at each other, their hostility not yet spent. Blue Star stepped forward and took the collar from Longtail. She placed it on the ground in front of her and meowed. The newcomer has lost his 2-leg collar in a battle for honor. StarClan has spoken its approval. This cat has been released from the hold of his 2-leg owners and is free to join the ThunderClan as an apprentice. Rusty looked at Blue Star and solemnly nodded his acceptance. He stood up and stepped forward into a shaft of sunshine, welcoming the warmth on his sore muscles. The pool of light blazed bright on his orange pelt, making his fur glow. Rusty lifted his head proudly and looked at the cats that surrounded him. This time, no cat argued or jeered. He had shown himself to be worthy opponent in battle. Blue Star approached him and placed the shredded collar on the ground in front of him. She touched his ear gently with her nose. "You look like a brand of fire in this sunlight," she murmured. Her eyes flashed briefly, as if her words had more meaning for her than Rusty knew. "You have fought well." Then she turned to the clan and announced, "From this day forward, until he has earned his warrior name, this apprentice will be called Firepaw, in honor of his flame-colored coat." She stepped back, and with the other cats, waited silently for his next move. Without hesitating, Rusty turned and kicked dust and grass all over his collar, as if though burying his dirt. Longtail growled and limped out of the clearing toward a fern-shredded corner. The cats split into groups, murmuring to each other. "Hey, Firepaw!" Rusty heard Graypaw's friendly voice behind him. Firepaw! A thrill of pride surged through him at the sound of his new name. He turned to greet the gray apprentice with a welcoming sniff. "Great fight, Firepaw," meowed Graypaw, "especially for a kitty pet. Longtail is a warrior. Although he only finished his training 2 moons ago, that scar you left on his ear won't let him forget you in a hurry. You spoiled his good looks, that's for sure." "Thanks, Graypaw," Firepaw replied. "He put up quite a fight, though." He licked his front paw and began to wipe the clean, deep scratch that stung above his eyes. As he washed, he heard his new name again, echoing among the meows of cats. "Firepaw! Hey, Firepaw! Welcome, young Firepaw." Firepaw closed his eyes for a moment and let the voices wash over him. "Good name, too," Graypaw meowed, approvingly, jolting him awake. Firepaw looked around. "Where did Longtail creep off to?" "I think he was heading into the forest toward Spotted Leaf's den." Graypaw tipped his head toward the fern-enclosed corner Longtail had disappeared into. "She's our medicine cat. Not bad-looking either. Younger, and a lot prettier than A low yowl next to the 2 caps stopped Graypaw mid-speech. They both turned, and Firepaw recognized the powerful gray tabby who had sit behind Graypaw earlier. "A dark stripe," meowed Graypaw, dipping his head respectfully. The sleek Tom looked at Firepaw for a moment. "Lucky your collar snapped when it did. Longtail is a young warrior, but I can't imagine him being beaten by a kitty pet." He spat the word kitty pet scornfully, then turned and stalked off. "Now Darkstripe," Graypaw hissed to Firepaw under his breath, "is neither young nor pretty." Firepaw was about to agree with his friend when he was interrupted by a warning yell from an old gray cat sitting at the edge of the clearing. "Fuck them both," says Snuffy. "Small Ear smells trouble," Graypaw meowed, immediately alert. Firepaw barely had time to look around before a young cat crashed through the bushes and into the camp. He was a skinny. He was a skinny. I think I did that the first time I tried reading this too. I said he was a skinny. He was a skinny, snatched wage little bitch. He was skinny, and apart from the white tip of his tail, He was skinny, and apart from the white tip of his long, thin tail, jet black from head to toe. I struggled with that one immensely, please. Graypaw gasped. "That's Ravenpaw. Why is he alone? Where's Tigerclaw?" Firepaw looked at Ravenpaw staggering across the floor of the clearing. He was panting heavily. His coat was ruffled and dusty, and his eyes were wild with fear. "Who are Ravenpaw and Tigerclaw?" Firepaw whispered to Graypaw as several other cats raced past him to greet the new arrival. "Ravenpaw is an apprentice. Tigerclaw is his mentor," Graypaw explained quickly. "Ravenpaw went out with Tigerclaw and Redtail at sunrise on a mission against RiverClan, that lucky furball." "Redtail?" Firepaw echoed, thoroughly confused by all these names. "Blue Star's deputy," hissed Graypaw. "But why on earth has Ravenpaw come back alone?" he added to himself. He lifted his head and listened as Blue Star stepped forward. Ravenpaw, the she-cat spoke calmly, but a look of worry clouded her eyes. The other cats drew back, curling their lips with anxiety. What has happened? Blue Star jumped onto the high rock and looked down at the trembling cat. Speak, Ravenpaw. Ravenpaw was still staggering for breath, and his sighs heaved fitfully while the dust around him turned red with blood. But he still managed to scramble up onto the high rock and stand back next to Blue Star. He turned to the crowd of eager faces that surrounded him and summoned enough breath to declare,
Redtail is dead.
End of chapter 3.
Dead tail. Damn. Didn't even get a description yet. Bro is gone.
Let's check the allegiance. Let's check the guide here. Who was Redtail? Was that the deputy? Yeah, okay. Wow, okay, so the leader of ThunderClan is Blue Star, and you only get one deputy, which is basically your most trusted confidant, the only person you would ever confide into as the leader. And it was Redtail. That's bad. That's scary, dude. You just took out their deputy. Dude, ThunderClan is flippin' suffering right now, man. Yeah, Jesus. She was not JKing, bro. I'm gonna take a quick, 5-minute break. Do you guys want to keep going at all?
I don't
I don't know. Do you guys want to? How are you liking it now? Yeah. Oh, isn't it exciting?
Yay! Oh my god, I'm so happy you guys love it so much. Yay!
Okay, I will be right back. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry for the delay. How are my eepers doing? I hope Chad isn't half asleep. I'm sure they are, which means job well done by me. I'm like so happy, I truly am. I love being a goofball and like doing silly stuff, but this is just great too. I've never been able to do such peaceful content, so it's really, I don't know. Thank you guys. I'm really happy that you guys think that I don't know, I'm doing okay with like tones and like I could do better with the voices, but I'm like worried if I make it too weird sounding, it'll be like horrendous. But I just love reading. I love reading so much. I'm so happy I can read to you guys. Okay. Let's pick it back up, dude. Chapter 4. Oh wait, let me open up make sure the browser is still there. Thank you guys for the beautiful art again. Yeah, I don't want to do, I'm trying to do maybe inflections for characters, but I guess it's hard to know what kind of inflections to use. Yeah, okay. Shocked yowls rose from the clan. Ravenpaw staggered slightly. His right foreleg glistened wet with blood that flowed from the deep gash in his shoulder. We met 5 River Clan warriors beside the stream, not far from the Sunning Rocks, he went on shakily. Oakhart was among them. Oakhart, Greypaw gasped beside Firepaw. He is the deputy of River Clan. He's one of the greatest warriors in the forest. Lucky Ravenpaw! Wish it could have been me. I'd have really... Greypaw was silenced by a fierce glance from one of the old Grey Toms, who had been first to sense Ravenpaw's return. Firepaw turned to his attention back to Ravenpaw. Redtail was warned Oakhart to keep his hunting parties out of ThunderClan territory. He said the next River Clan warrior to be caught in ThunderClan territory would be killed. But Oakhart would not back down. He said his clan had to be fed, whatever we threatened. Ravenpaw paused to wheeze for breath, his wound still bleeding heavily, and he stood awkwardly to keep the weight off his shoulder. That's when the River Clan cats attacked. It was hard to see what was happening. The fighting was so vicious. I saw Oakhart had Redtail pinned to the ground, but then Redtail... Suddenly, Ravenpaw's eyes rolled in his head, and he lurched sideways, half scrambling, half falling. He slithered off the high rock and collapsed on the ground below. A ginger queen bounded toward him and crouched at his side. She licked his cheek briefly and called out, "Spotted Leaf!" Out of the fern-shedded corner trotted the pretty tortoise-shell Firepaw had noticed sitting beside Greypaw earlier. She hurried out to Ravenpaw and mewed for the queen to stand back. Then she used her small pink nose to roll the apprentice over so that she could take a good look at the wound. She glanced up and meowed. "It's all right, Golden Flower. His wounds aren't fatal, but I'll need to fetch some cobwebs to stop the bleeding." As Spotted Leaf sprinted back to her den, the hushed silence in the clearing was broken by a mournful howl. All eyes turned to the direction it had come from. A massive dark brown tabby staggered through the gorse tunnel. Between his sharp teeth was the warrior, not prey, but the lifeless body of another cat. He dragged the tattered creature into the center of the clearing. Firepaw craned his neck and glimpsed a flash of bright ginger tail, hanging limply in the dust. Shock rippled through the clan like a chill breeze. Beside Firepaw, Greypaw dropped into a crouch as if grief swept over him. "Redtail! How did this happen, Tigerclaw?" Tigerclaw let the scruff of Redtail's neck fall from his mouth. He looked steadily back at Bluestar. "He died with honor, struck down by Oakhart. I couldn't save him, but I managed to take Oakhart's life while he was still gloating over the victory."
Tigerclaw's voice was strong and deep. Redtail's death was not in vain. For I doubt we'll see River Clan hunters in our territory again. Firepaw glanced at Greypaw. The apprentice's eyes were dark with sadness. After a moment of pause, several of the other cats moved forward to lick Redtail's bed-wrangled fur. As they groomed, they purred hushed phrases to the dead warrior. Firepaw whispered into Greypaw's ears. "What are they doing?" Greypaw didn't take his eyes off the dead cat as he replied. "His spirit may have left to join StarClan, but the clan will share tongues with Redtail one last time." "StarClan?" Firepaw echoed. "It's the tribe of heavenly warriors that watch all over the clan cats. You can see them in Silverpelt." Firepaw looked confused, so Greypaw explained. "Silverpelt is that thick band of stars you see each night stretching across the sky. Each star is a StarClan warrior. Redtail will be among them tonight." Firepaw nodded, and Greypaw stepped forward to share tongues with the dead deputy. Blue Star had remained silent while the first cats came to pay their respects to Redtail. Now she leaped down from the high rock and walked slowly towards Redtail's body. The other cats retreated and watched as their leader crouched down to share tongues with her old comrade one more time. When she had finished, she raised her head and spoke. Her voice was low and thick with grief, and the clan listened in silence. Redtail was a brave warrior. His loyalty to ThunderClan could never be doubted. I always relied on his judgment, for it bore witness to the needs of the clan, and was never swayed by self-interest or pride. He would have made a fine leader. Then she lowered herself onto her belly, her head bowed, her paws stretched neatly before her, and silently she grieved for her lost friend. Several other cats came and laid down beside her, their bowed heads and hunched backs echoing her mournful pose. Firepaw watched. He had not known Redtail, but he couldn't help feeling moved as he witnessed the clan mourn. Greypaw came and stood beside him again. "Dustpaw will be sad," he remarked. "Dustpaw?" "Redtail's apprentice. That brown-striped tabby over there. I wonder who his new mentor will be." Firepaw glanced over at the small Tom, who had squatted near Redtail's body, staring unseeing at the ground. Firepaw looked past him to the clan leader. "How long will Blue Star sit with him?" he asked. "Probably the whole night," replied Greypaw. "Redtail was her deputy for many, many moons. She won't want to let him go too quickly. He was one of the best warriors, not as big and powerful as Tigerclaw or Lionheart, but quick and clever." Firepaw looked at Tigerclaw, admiring the strength that swelled in his powerful muscles and broad head. His massive body showed signs of warrior life. One of his ears was split into a deep V shape, and a thick scar sliced the bridge of his nose. Suddenly, Tigerclaw stood up and stalked over to Ravenpaw. Spotted Leaf was crouching beside Tigerclaw's wounded apprentice, using her teeth and front paws to press wads of cobweb onto his shoulder wound. Firepaw leaned to Greypaw and asked, "What's Spotted Leaf doing?" "Stopping the bleeding. It looked like a nasty cut, and Ravenpaw seemed really shaken up. He's always been a bit of jumpy, but I've never seen him this bad before. Let's go see if he's woken up yet." They made their way through the grieving cats toward the spot where Ravenpaw lay and settled themselves a respectful distance away to wait until Tigerclaw had finished speaking. "So, Spotted Leaf," Tigerclaw addressed the tortoiseshell with a confident meow. "How is he? Do you think you can save him?" "I've spent a lot of time training him up, and I don't want my efforts to be wasted at the first battle. Spotted Leaf didn't look up from her patient as she replied, "Yes, a pity, if after all your valuable training, he dies in his first fight, eh?" Firepaw could hear a teasing purr in her soft meow. "Will he live?" Tiger Claw demanded. "Of course. He just needs to rest." Tiger Claw snorted and looked down at the motionless black shape. He jabbed Ravenpaw with one of his front claws.
"Come on then, get up."
Ravenpaw didn't move. "Look at the length of that claw," Firepaw hissed. "Too right," replied Graypaw with a feeling. "I know I wouldn't want to get into a fight with him." "Not so fast, Tiger Claw." Spotted Leaf placed her paw over Tiger Claw's sharp talon and gently moved it away. "This apprentice needs to keep as still as possible until the cut has healed. We don't want him opening his wound by jumping up trying to please you. Leave him alone." Firepaw found himself holding his breath as he waited for Tiger Claw's reaction. He guessed that few cats dared to give orders to warriors like that. The big tabby stiffened and seemed about to speak when Spotted Leaf meowed teasingly. "Even you know better than to argue with a medicine cat, Tiger Claw." Tiger Claw's eyes flashed at the little tortoise-shell word.
"I wouldn't dare argue with you, dear Spotted Leaf," he purred.
He turned to leave and caught a sight of Graypaw and Firepaw.
"Who's this?"
he asked Graypaw, towering above them. "He's the new apprentice," Graypaw mewed.
"He smells like kitty pet," snorted the warrior.
"I was a house cat," Firepaw meowed boldly, "but I'm going to be trained as a warrior." Tiger Claw looked at him with sudden interest.
"Ah, yes, now I remember. Blue Star mentioned that she had stumbled across some stray kitty pet. So, she's actually going to try you out, is she?"
Firepaw sat up very straight, anxious to impress the distinguished clan warrior. "That's right," he meowed respectfully. Tiger Claw eyed him thoughtfully.
"Then I shall watch your progress with interest."
Firepaw puffed his chest out proudly as Tiger Claw stalked away. "Do you think he liked me?" "I don't think Tiger Claw likes any apprentices," whispered Graypaw. You know, I just had this thought while I was reading these two, because, like, going through their dialogue, I'm like, dude, you know what this sounds like? This sounds like motherfucking Harry Potter talking to Ron Weasley, like, literally first year at Hogwarts being like, "Oh my god, who's that?" And they're like, "That is Snape. Nobody crosses Snape."
No wonder this was so popular with kids, right?
They're just two little shitters together. I love them. I love Firepaw and Graypaw. Brothers. Brothers in arms.
Just then, Ravenpaw stirred and switched his ears. "Has he gone?" he mumbled.
Ooh, Tiger Claw? Replied Graypaw, trotting toward him. Yep, he's gone.
"Hi there," Firepaw began, about to introduce himself. "Go away, both of you," Spotted Leaf protested.
How am I meant to help this cat with all these interruptions?
She impatiently flicked her tail at Graypaw and Firepaw and pushed her away between them and her patient. Firepaw realized she was serious despite the lively glimmer in her warm amber eyes.
"Come on then, Firepaw," meowed Graypaw. "I'll show you around. See you later, Ravenpaw."
The two cats left Spotted Leaf with Ravenpaw and walked across the clearing. Graypaw looked thoughtful. He was clearly taking his duties as a guide very seriously.
You know the High Rock already," he began, flicking his tail toward the big, smooth rock. "Blue Star always addresses the clan from there. Her den is down there." He lifted his nose toward a hollow on the side of the High Rock. "Her den was carved out many moons ago by an ancient stream."
Okay, wait, Chad, I have a question. Lichen? L-I-C-H-E-N? Hanging lichen? Lichen? Lichen, okay. Thank you. Hanging lichen. Lichen?
I be liking this book a lot. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Hanging lichen draped the entrance, sheltering the leader's nest from wind and rain. The warriors sleep over there, Greypaw went on. Firepaw followed him to a large bush a few paces away from the high rock. There was a clear view from here, right down to the gorse entrance into the camp. The branches of the bush hung low, but Firepaw could see a sheltered space inside where the warriors made their nest. The senior warriors sleep nearest the center, where it's the warmest, explained Greypaw. They usually share their fresh kill together over by that clump of nettles. The younger warriors eat nearby. Sometimes they are invited to join the senior warriors for eating, which is a big honor. What about the other clan cats? Firepaw asked, fascinated, but feeling rather overwhelmed by all the traditions and rituals of clan life. Well, the queens share warrior quarters when they work as warriors, but when they are expecting as kits, or nursing them, they stay in the nest near the nursery. The elders have their own place on the other side of the clearing. Come on, I'll show you. Firepaw trotted after Greypaw, across the clearing and past the shadowy corner where Spotted Leaf had her den. They stopped beside a fallen tree that sheltered a patch of lush grass. Crouched among the soft greenery were 4 elderly cats tucking into a plump, young rabbit. Dustpaw and Sandpaw would have brought them that. One of the apprentice's duties is catching fresh kill for the elders.
Hello, youngster. One of the elders greeted Gaypaw? I just called him Gaypaw.
I can't do this. Gay paw. No. Face. I'm gonna be laughing about this the whole book now. I think knowing. Oh, never mind. Okay. My boy Gay Paw.
Hello, Small Ear, meowed Greypaw, nodding respectfully. This must be our new apprentice. Firepaw, isn't it? Meowed a second Tom. His patchy fur was dark brown, and there was only a stump where his tail should have been. That's right, Firepaw replied, copying Greypaw's polite nod. I'm Half-Tail, purred the brown Tom. Welcome to the clan. Have you two eaten? Meowed Small Ear. Firepaw and Greypaw both shook their heads. Well, there's enough here. Dustpaw and Sandpaw are turning into fine hunters. Would you mind asking these youngsters to share a mouse, One Eye? The pale gray queen who lay beside him shook her head. Firepaw noticed one of her eyes clouded and sightless. And what about you, Dappletail? The other elder, a tortoiseshell she-cat with a gray muzzle, meowed in a voice cracked with age. Of course not. Thank you, meowed Greypaw eagerly. He stepped forward and took a large mouse from the pile of prey, and then dropped it at Firepaw's feet. You still haven't tasted mouse? He asked. No, Firepaw admitted. He suddenly felt excited by the warm smells that were rising from this piece of fresh kill. His whole body quivered at the thought of sharing his first real food as a clan member. In that case, you can have the first bite. Just save me some. Greypaw dipped his head and stood back to give Firepaw room. Firepaw crouched down and took a large bite from the mouse. It was juicy and tender and sang with the flavors of the forest. What do you think? Asked Greypaw. Fantastic, mumbled Firepaw, his mouth still full. Move over then, mewed Greypaw, stepping forward and bending his head to take a bite. As the two apprentices shared the mouse, they listened to the elders talk amongst themselves.
How long before Blue Star appoints a new deputy? Asked Small Ear. What do you say, Small Ear? Meowed One Eye. I think your hearing has become as poor as your eyesight, snapped Small Ear impatiently. I said how long before Blue Star appoints a new deputy?
One Eye ignored Small Ear's irritated reply and spoke instead to the Tortoiseshell Queen. Dappletail, do you remember how many moons ago when Blue Star herself was appointed deputy? Dappletail mewed earnestly. Oh yes, it was not long after she lost her kids. She'll not be happy to be appointing a new deputy, Small Ear observed. Redtail served her long and well. But she'll need to make up her mind quickly. According to clan custom, the choice has to be made before moon high after the death of an old deputy. At least this time the choice is obvious, meowed Halftail. Firepaw raised his head and looked around the clearing. Who could Halftail mean? To Firepaw, all the warriors looked worthy of becoming a deputy. Perhaps he meant Tigerclaw. After all, he had avenged Redtail's death. Tigerclaw was sitting not far off, his ears angled towards the elder's conversation. As Firepaw stretched with his tongue to lick the last traces of mouse from his whisker, Blue Star's voice called from beyond the high rock. Redtail's body still lay in the clearing below, pale gray in the fading light. A new deputy must be appointed, she meowed. But first, let us give thanks to StarClan for the life of Redtail. Tonight he sits with his fellow warriors among the stars. Silence fell as the cat looked up into the sky, which was beginning to darken as evening crept over the forest. And now, I shall name ThunderClan's new deputy, Blue Star continued. I say these words before the body of Redtail, so that his spirit may hear and approve my choice. Firepaw looked at Tigerclaw. He couldn't help noticing the hunger in the big warrior's amber eyes as he stared up at the high rock. Lionheart, meowed Blue Star, will be the new deputy of ThunderClan. Firepaw was curious to see Tigerclaw's reaction, but the dark warrior's face revealed nothing as he moved to congratulate Lionheart with a nudge so hearty that it almost pushed the golden tabby off balance. Why didn't she make Tigerclaw deputy? Firepaw whispered to Graypaw. Probably because Lionheart has been a warrior longer, so he has a lot more experience, Graypaw murmured back, still looking up at Blue Star. Blue Star spoke again. Redtail was also mentor to young Dustpaw. Since there must be no delay in training of our apprentices, I shall appoint Dustpaw's new mentor immediately. Darkstripe, you are ready for your first apprentice, so you will continue Dustpaw's training. You had a fine mentor in Tigerclaw, and I expect you to pass on some of the excellent skills you were taught. The tabby warrior swelled with pride as he showed his acceptance with a solemn nod. He strode over to Dustpaw, bent his head, and rather awkwardly touched noses with his new apprentice. Dustpaw flicked his tail respectfully, but his eyes were still dull with grief for his lost mentor. Blue Star raised her voice. I shall keep vigil with Redtail's body tonight, before we bury him at sunrise. She jumped down from the high rock and walked over to lie beside Redtail's body once more. Many of the other cats joined her, Dustpaw and Small Ear among them. Should we sit with them too? Firepaw suggested. He had to admit the idea didn't appeal to him much. It had been a busy day, and he was beginning to feel tired. All he wanted to do was find somewhere warm and dry to curl up and sleep. Graypaw shook his head. No. Only those who were closest to Redtail will share his final night. I'll show you where you sleep. The apprentice's den is over here. Firepaw followed Graypaw to a thick bush of ferns that lay behind a mossy tree stump. All the apprentices share their fresh kill by this stump, Graypaw told him. How many apprentices are there? Firepaw asked. Not as many as usual. Just me, you, Ravenpaw, Dustpaw, and Sandpaw. As Graypaw and Firepaw settled themselves beside the tree stump, a young she-cat crawled out from beneath the ferns. Her coat was ginger, like Firepaw's, but much paler, with barely visible stripes of darker fur. So here comes the new apprentice, she meowed, narrowing her eyes. Hello, Firepaw mewed. The young cat sniffed rudely.
He smells like kitty pet. Don't tell me I'm going to have to share my nest with that revolting stench.
Firepaw felt rather taken aback. Since his fight with Longtail, all cats had been quite friendly. Maybe they had just been distracted by Ravenpaw's news, he thought. You'll have to excuse Sandpaw, apologized Graypaw. I think she must have a fur ball stuck somewhere. She's not usually this ill-tempered. Psst, spat Sandpaw crossly. Hold on, youngsters. The deep voice of Whitestorm sounded behind the apprentices. Sandpaw, as my apprentice, I expect you to be a little more welcoming to the newcomer. Sandpaw held up her head and looked defiant. I'm sorry, Whitestorm, she purred, not sounding sorry at all. I just didn't expect to be training with a kitty pet, that's all. I'm sure you'll get used to it, Sandpaw, meowed Whitestorm calmly. Now it's getting late and training starts early tomorrow. You three should get some sleep. He gave Sandpaw a stern look, and she nodded obediently. As he walked off, she spun around and vanished into the clump of ferns, sniffing once more as she brushed past Firepaw. With a flick of his tail, Graypaw invited Firepaw to follow him and led the way after Sandpaw. Inside the sleeping area, the ground was lined with soft moss, and the pale moonlight turned everything a delicate shade of green. The air was fragrant with the fern scent and warmer than outside. Where do I sleep? Firepaw asked. Anywhere, just so long as it's not near me, snarled Sandpaw, who was prodding some moss with her paws. Graypaw and Firepaw exchanged glances, but said nothing. Firepaw raked together a pile of moss with his claws. When he had gathered his bed into a cozy nest, he circled it until he was comfortable and settled down. His whole body felt drowsy with contentment. This was his home now. He was a member of ThunderClan. End of chapter 4. I think maybe I'll read one more chapter for today. Hopefully it's a good one to end on. Do you guys have any questions? I hope it's I hope I didn't make it too hard to digest. Anybody have any questions? That's not a question. I hope you guys you've probably picked up on the naming conventions and stuff. What color is Tiger Claw? Ah, yes. Tiger Claw. He's a big, dark brown tabby tom with unusually long front claws is his description. I can go over them really quick too. We only know ThunderClan, so we have Blue Star the leader, a blue-gray she-cat tinged with silver around her muzzle. Redtail, who is now passed. Small tortoiseshell tom with a distinctive ginger tail. The medicine cat Spotted Leaf. Beautiful dark tortoiseshell she-cat with distinctive dappled coat. Lionheart is a warrior. Well, I guess he's not a warrior anymore. He's the deputy. magnificent golden tabby tom with thick fur like a lion's mane. And Grey Paw is his apprentice. Then there's Tiger Claw, big dark brown tabby tom with unusual long front claws, and their apprentice is Raven Paw. White Storm, a big white tom, apprentice Sand Paw. Dark Stripe, sleek black and gray tabby tom, long tail, pale tabby tom with dark black stripes. We haven't met Running Wind. Swift tabby tom. I don't remember if we met Mouse for either. Small dusky she-cat or Willow Pelt. More old people. Oh, here's the elders, the queens and stuff. Half tail, a big dark brown tabby with part of his tail missing. Small ear, a gray tom with very small ears. The oldest tom in ThunderClan. Then there's One Eye, a pale gray she-cat, the oldest cat in ThunderClan, virtually blind and deaf. Dappletail, once pretty tortoiseshell she-cat with a lovely dappled coat.
A MILF? A MILF? You can say she's a MILF.
Have some water really quick. Yeah, kittens are called kits. The kits. If you're not a warrior, your name usually will end in paw if you're an apprentice. So you can tell that, like, if they're young cats, they're gonna have paw next to their name, which means they haven't been promoted to warrior just yet and got like the second half of their name. So like Gray Paw and Fire Paw and Sand Paw and Dust Paw will not always be that eventually, if they make it to warriorhood.
If they make it.
Okay. Chapter 5. Hey, Firepaw, wake up! Graypaw's meow broke into Firepaw's dream. He had been chasing a squirrel, up and up, into the topmost branches of the tall oak. Training begins at sunrise. Dustpaw and Sandpaw are already up, Graypaw added urgently. Firepaw stretched sleepily, then remembered. Today was his first day of training. He leaped to his paws. His drowsiness evaporated as excitement surged through his veins. Graypaw was giving himself a hasty wash between licks, he meowed. I've just spoken to Lionheart. Ravenpaw won't be training with us till his wound is better. Dustpaw and Sandpaw are on hunting duty today. So Lionheart thought you and I could train with him and Tigerclaw this morning. We'd better hurry, though, he added. They'll be waiting. Graypaw led Firepaw quickly through the gorse entrance of the camp and up the side of the rock-strewn valley. As they climbed over the crest of the ravine, a cool breeze ruffled over their fur. Fat white clouds raced across the sky overhead. Firepaw felt fierce joy well up inside him as he followed Graypaw down a tree-shaded slope and into a sandy hollow. Wait, why are you guys talking about Yowie? Confirmed, I think a Yowie couple and a Yuri couple come much later on. We're actually discussing Gage cat relations here. No spoilers, guys. No spoilers. No spoilers. It's a spoiler if we find out one of the cats is a sexy individual looking for another sexy... Wait, what do they call him? A queen. A queen looking for another queen. Queen seeking queen. Kerchoo! Tigerclaw and Lionheart were indeed waiting, sitting a few tail lengths apart on the sun-warmed sand. In the future, I expect both of you to be punctual, growled Tigerclaw. Don't be too severe, Tigerclaw. It was a busy night last night. I expect they were tired, meowed Lionheart gently. You have not been assigned a mentor, Firepaw, he went on.
For now, Tiger Claw and I will share your training.
Firepaw nodded enthusiastically, his tail held high and unable to disguise his delight at having two such great warriors as his mentors.
Oopsies. Oh my god, what did I do? Oh, I refreshed it. Yay! Sorry. I think I hit like backspace or something low.
Tug, thank you so much for the resub.
Come, meowed Tiger Claw impatiently. Today we are going to show you the edges of our territory so that you know where you will be hunting and what boundaries you need to protect. Greypaw, it won't do you any harm to remind yourself of the clan's outer limits. Without another word, Tiger Claw leaped up and bounded out of the sandy hollow. Lionheart nodded to Greypaw, and they took off with equal speed. Firepaw scrambled after them, his paws slipping on the soft sand. The trees were thick in this part of the forest, birch and ash trees overshadowed by mighty oaks. The ground was carpeted with a crisp dead leaf that rustled beneath their paws. Tiger Claw paused to spray his scent on a thick clump of ferns. The other cat stopped beside him. There is a two-leg path here, murmured Lionheart. Use your nose, Firepaw. Can you smell anything?
No, because fucking Tiger Claw just pissed all over the place, dude.
Firepaw sniffed. There was a faint scent of two-leg and the stronger smell of a dog, similar to him from his old home. A two-leg has walked his dog along here, but they are gone now, he meowed.
Good, meowed Lionheart. Do you think it is safe to cross?
Firepaw sniffed again. The odors were weak and seemed overlaid with fresher forest smells. Yes, he replied. Tiger Claw nodded, and the four cats stalked out from beneath the ferns and crossed the sharp stones of the narrow two-legged path. The trees beyond were pine. They grew tall and straight. It was easy to walk silently here. The ground was thick with layers of dead needles which were prickled against Firepaw's pads, but felt spongy underneath. There was no undergrowth here to hide in, and Firepaw sensed tension in the other cats as they stalked unprotected between the tree trunks. Two legs put trees here, meowed Tiger Claw. They cut them down with foul-smelling creatures, which spew enough fumes to make a kit go blind. Then they take the fallen trees to the tree-cut place that lies near here. Firepaw stopped and listened for the roar of the tree-eater, which he had heard before. The tree-cut place will be silent for a few moons more, until the time of Greenleaf, explained Greypaw, noticing his pause. The cats padded on through the pine forest. The two-legged place lies in that direction, meowed Tiger Claw, flicking his thick tail to one side. No doubt you can smell it, Firepaw. Today, however, we will head the other way. Eventually, they reached the two-legged path that marked the far edge of the pine forest. They quickly crossed over it into the safe bushes of the oak woods beyond, but Firepaw still sensed anxiety in the other cats. We're approaching RiverClan territory, whispered Greypaw. The Sunning Rocks are over there. He pointed with his soft muzzle to a treeless mound of boulders. Firepaw felt his fur stand on end. This is where Redtail had been slain. Lionheart stopped by a flat gray rock. This is the boundary between ThunderClan and RiverClan territory. RiverClan rules the hunting grounds beside the Great River, he meowed. Breathe deeply, Firepaw. The pungent smell of unfamiliar cats hit the roof of Firepaw's mouth. He was surprised at how different it smelled from the warm cat scents of ThunderClan camp, and he was also surprised to realize just how familiar and comforting the ThunderClan cat's scent seemed to him already. "That is the smell of RiverClan," Tigerclaw growled beside him. "Remember it well. It will be the strongest at Boundary, because their warriors will have scent-marked the trees along here." With these words, the dark tabby lifted his tail and sprayed his own mark on the flat rock. Bro will not stop. He will not stop. "We'll follow this boundary line, as it leads straight to the front trees. Oh, 4 trees. Lionheart meowed. He set off quickly from the Sunning Rocks, followed by Tigerclaw, Greypaw, and Firepaw. "What is the 4 trees?" meowed Firepaw. "It is where the territories of all 4 clans meet," replied Greypaw. "There are 4 great oaks there, as old as the clans." "Be quiet," ordered Tigerclaw. "Don't forget how close we are to enemy territory." The 2 apprentices fell silent, and Firepaw concentrated on walking quietly. They crossed a shallow stream, keeping their paws dry by leaping from boulder to boulder across the pebbly riverbed. By the time they reached 4 trees, Firepaw was feeling completely out of breath, and his paws ached. He wasn't used to traveling so far and so fast. He was quite relieved when Lionheart and Tigerclaw led them out of the thick woods and stopped at the brow of a brush-covered slope. It was sun-high now. The clouds had cleared, and the wind had dropped. Below in the dazzling sunlight stood 4 enormous oaks, their dark green crowns reaching to almost the top of the steep slope. "As Greypaw told you," meowed Lionheart to Firepaw, "this is 4 trees, where the territories of all 4 clans meet. Wind Clan governs the high ground ahead of us, where the sun sets. You won't be able to catch their scent today. The wind is blowing towards them. But you'll learn what it is soon enough." "And Shadow Clan holds the power over there, in the darkest part of the forest," added Greypaw, flicking his head sideways. "The elders say that the cold winds from the north blow over the Shadow Clan cats and chill their hearts." "So many clans," Firepaw exclaimed, "and so well organized," he added to himself, remembering Smudge's lurid tales of wild cats wreaking terror in the forest. "You see now why prey is so precious," meowed Lionheart. "Why we must fight to protect what little we have." "But that seems foolish. Why can't the clans work together and share their hunting grounds instead of fighting each other?" Firepaw suggested boldly. Tigerclaw was the first to reply. "That is treacherous thinking, kitty pet," he snapped. "Don't be too fierce, Tigerclaw," warned Lionheart. "The ways of the clan are new to this apprentice." He looked at Firepaw. "You speak from the heart, young Firepaw. This will make you a stronger warrior one day." Tigerclaw growled. "Or it might make him give in to kitty pet weakness right at the moment of attack." Lionheart glanced briefly at Tigerclaw before he continued. "The 4 clans do come together peacefully in a gathering each moon. Here," he bent his head toward the 4 mighty oaks below, "is where they meet. The truce lasts long, for as long as the moon is at its fullest." "Then there must be a meeting very soon," Firepaw suggested, remembering how bright the moonlight had been the night before. "Indeed there is," answered Lionheart, sounding impressed. "Tonight, in fact, the gatherings are very important because they allow the clans to come together in peace for one night. But you must understand that longer alliances bring more trouble than they're worth." "It is our clan loyalty that makes us strong,"
Tiger Claw meowed in agreement. If you weaken that loyalty, you weaken your chances of survival.
Firepaw nodded. I understand, he meowed.
Come on, meowed Lionheart, standing up. Let's keep moving.
They paced along the ridge of the valley where 4 trees stood. Now they were heading away from the sun as it began to sink in the afternoon sky. They crossed the stream at a place where it was narrow enough to leap over in one jump. Firepaw sniffed the air. A new cat scent touched his mouth glands, strong and sour. Which clan is that? He asked.
Shadow Clan, answered Tiger Claw grimly. We are traveling along their border. Keep your wits about you, Firepaw. Fresher scent means that a Shadow Claw patrol is in the area.
As Firepaw nodded, he heard a new noise. He stiffened, but the other cats kept up their pace, heading straight for the ominous rumbling. What's that? He called, trotting up to catch up to them.
You'll see in a moment, replied Lionheart.
Firepaw peered through the trees up ahead. They seemed to be getting thinner, letting in a broad band of sunlight. Are we at the edge of the woods? He asked. Then he stopped and took a deep breath. The green forest scents were overlaid with other strange, dark smells. This time it was not cat scent, but an odor that reminded him of his old 2-legged home, and the rumbling was getting louder, a ceaseless roar that made the ground tremble and ached in Firepaw's ears. This is the Thunder Path, meowed Tiger Claw. Firepaw followed as Lionheart led them toward the edge of the forest. Then he sat down and all 4 cats looked out. Firepaw could see a gray path like a river cutting its way through the forest. The hard gray stone stretched out ahead of him so far that the trees on the other side seemed blurred and tiny. Firepaw shuddered at the bitter smell that rose from the path. The next moment he leaped back, his fur bristling, as a gigantic monster roared past. The branches of the trees on either side flapped madly in the wind that chased the speeding monster. Firepaw stared around the other cats, his eyes wide, unable to speak. He had seen paths like this before near his old 2-legged home, but never this wide, nor with monsters so swift and so fierce. Scared me too the first time, remarked Graypaw, but at least it helps to keep Shadow Clan warriors from crossing into our territory. The Thunder Path runs for many paw steps along our boundary line. And don't worry, those monsters never seem to leave the Thunder Path. You'll be fine as long as you don't go too near.
It's time we return to camp, meowed Lionheart. You've seen all the boundaries now, but we'll avoid snake rocks, even though the way around is longer. An untrained apprentice would be easy prey for an adder. I expect you are getting tired, Firepaw.
Dude, an adder? Final Fantasy freaking... Firepaw couldn't help but feeling relieved at the thought of returning to the camp. His head was spinning with all the new smells and sights, and Lionpaw was right. He was tired. And hungry. He fell behind Graypaw as the cats turned away from the Thunder Path and headed back into the forest. The dewy sense of evening filled the air as Firepaw made his way through the gorse entrance into the ThunderClan camp. Fresh kill was waiting for them. Firepaw and Graypaw took their share from the pile that lay in the shady part of the clearing and carried it to the tree stump outside of their quarters. Dustpaw and Sandpaw were there already, munching hungrily. Hi there, kitty pad, meowed Dustpaw, narrowing his eyes scornfully at Firepaw. Enjoy the food we caught for you? Who knows? You might even learn how to catch your own one day, sneered Sandpaw. Are you two still on hunting duty? Asked Graypaw innocently. Never mind. We've been patrolling our territory borders. You'll be glad to know it's all safe. I'm sure the other clans were terrified when they smelled you two coming, yowled Dustpaw. They didn't even dare show their faces, retorted Graypaw, unable to hide his anger. Well, we'll ask them tonight when we see them at the clan gathering, mewed Sandpaw. Are you going? Firepaw blurted out, impressed in spite of the apprentice's hostility. Of course, replied Dustpaw loftily. It's a great honor, you know, but don't worry, we'll tell you all about it in the morning.
The girls are fighting!
Graypaw ignored Dustpaw's gloating and started eating his fresh kill. Firepaw was hungry too and crouched down to eat. He couldn't help but feeling a twinge of envy that Dustpaw and Sandpaw were actually going to meet the other clans tonight. A loud call from Blue Star made Firepaw look up. He watched several of the clan warriors and elders gather in the clearing. It was time for the clan party to leave for the gathering. Dustpaw and Sandpaw leaped to their feet and trotted off to join the other cats. Bye, you two, called Sandpaw over her shoulder. Have a nice, quiet evening. The assembled cats stalked out of their camp entrance in a single file, Blue Star at the head. Her fur glowed like silver in the moonlight, and she looked calm and confident as she led her clan to the brief truce between old enemies. Have you ever been to a gathering? Firepaw asked Graypaw. Not yet, replied Graypaw, crunching loudly on a mouse bone. But it won't be long now. Just you wait. All the apprentices get to go sometime. The two apprentices ate the rest of their meal in silence. When they had finished, Graypaw wandered over to Firepaw and began to groom his head. Together they washed, sharing tongues as Firepaw had seen the other cats do when he first arrived. Then, tired after the long trek, they pushed their way into their den and settled down in their nests quickly and fell asleep. The following morning, Graypaw and Firepaw arrived early at Sandy Hollow. They had crept out before Sandpaw and Dustpaw woke. Firepaw had been eager to hear about the gathering, but Graypaw had dragged him away. You'll hear about it later if I know those two, he had mewed. It promised to be another warm day, and this time Ravenpaw came to join them. Thanks to Spotted Leaf, his wound was healing well. Graypaw played around, scooping leaves into the air and leaping after them. Firepaw watched, his tail twitching with amusement. Ravenpaw sat quietly at one side of the hollow, looking tense and unhappy. Cheer up, Ravenpaw, called Graypaw. I know you don't like training, but you're not usually this miserable. The sense of Lionpaw and Tigerclaw warned the apprentices of their approach, and Ravenpaw mewed hastily. I suppose I'm just worried about my shoulder getting hurt again. At that moment, Tigerclaw emerged from the bushes, closely followed by Lionheart. Warriors should suffer their pain silently, growled Tigerclaw. He looked at Ravenpaw straight in the eye. You need to learn to hold your tongue. Ravenpaw flinched and dropped his eyes to the ground. Tigerclaw's a bit grumpy today, Ravenpaw whispered into Firepaw's ears. Lionheart glanced at his apprentice sternly and announced,
Today we're going to practice stalking. Now, there is a big difference between creeping up on a rabbit and creeping up on a mouse. Can you tell me why?
Firepaw had no idea, and Ravenpaw seemed to have been taking Tigerclaw's comment to heart and was holding his tongue. Come on, snorted Tigerclaw impatiently. It was Graypaw who answered, Because a rabbit will smell you before he sees you, but a mouse will feel your paw steps through the ground before he even smells you.
Exactly, Graypaw. So what must you bear in mind when hunting mice?
Step lightly, Firepaw suggested. Lionheart looked approvingly at him.
Quite right, Firepaw. You must make all your weight onto your haunches, so that your paws make no impact on the forest floor. Let's try it.
Firepaw watched as Graypaw and Ravenpaw immediately dropped into a stalking crouch.
Nicely done, Graypaw,
meowed Lionheart as the two apprentices began to move forward stealthily.
Keep your rear down, Ravenpaw. Oh my god, this is Tiger Claw. Never mind, I gotta make it sound kind of bitchy. Keep your rear down, Ravenpaw. You look like a duck. Spat Tiger Claw. Now you try it, Firepaw. Firepaw crouched down and began to creep across the forest floor. He felt himself fall instinctively into the night position. And as he stepped forward silently and lightly, he felt a glow of pride that his muscles responded so smoothly. Well, it's obviously you know nothing but softness, growled Tiger Claw. You'll stalk like a lumbering kitty pet. Do you think dinner is going to come and lie down in your food dish and wait to be eaten? Firepaw sat up quickly as Tiger Claw spoke, a little taken aback by his harsh words. He listened carefully to the warrior, determined to get everything right. His pace and forward movement will come later, but his crouch is perfectly balanced, Lionheart purred out mildly. Which is better than Ravenpaw, I suppose, complained Tiger Claw. He cast a scornful look at the black cat. Even after 2 moons of training, you're still putting all your weight on your left side. Ravenpaw looked even more dejected, and Firepaw couldn't even stop himself from blurting out. His injury is bothering, that's all. Tiger Claw whipped his head back around and glared at Firepaw. Injuries are a fact of life. He should be able to adapt. Even you, Firepaw, have learned something this morning. If Ravenpaw picked up things as quickly as you, he'd be a credit to me, instead of an embarrassment. Imagine being shown up by a kitty pet, he spat angrily at his apprentice. Firepaw felt his fur prickle with discomfort. He couldn't meet Ravenpaw's eyes, so he looked down at his own paws. Well, I'm more lopsided than a one-legged badger, meowed Graypaw, breaking off from his careful stalking to a stagger comically across the clearing. I think I'll have to settle for hunting stupid mice. They won't stand a chance. I'll just wander up to them and sit on them till they surrender. Concentrate, young Graypaw. There is no time for your jokes, meowed Lionheart sternly. Perhaps you might focus your mind better before you try out stalking for real. All 3 apprentices looked up briefly. I want each one of you to try catching real prey, meowed Lionheart. Ravenpaw, you look beside the owl tree. Graypaw, there might be something in that big bramble patch over there. And you, Firepaw, follow the rabbit track over that rise, and you'll find the dry bed of Winter Stream. You might find something there. The 3 apprentices bounded away, and even Ravenpaw finding some extra energy for this challenge. With the blood pounding in his ears, Firepaw crept slowly over the rise. Sure enough, a stream bed cut through the trees ahead of him. In leaf-fall, he guessed it would carry the rainwater away from the forest into the great river that cut through RiverClan territory. Now, it was dry. Firepaw crept quietly down the bank and crouched onto its sandy floor. Every sense felt on fire with tension. Silently, he scanned the empty stream for signs of life. He watched for any tiny movement. His mouth opened so he could pick up the smallest scent, his ears twisted forward. Then he smelled mouse. He recognized the odor instantly, remembering his first taste the night before. Wild energy surged through him, but he remained motionless, trying desperately to pinpoint the prey. He strained his ears forward until he picked up the rapid pulsing of a tiny mouse heart. Then a flash of brown caught his eye. The creature was scrambling through the long grass that draped the edges of the stream. Firepaw shifted closer, remembering to keep his weight on his haunches until he was within striking distance. Then he pushed back hard on his hind paws and sprang, kicking up sand as he rose. The mouse raced away, but Firepaw was quicker. He scooped it into the air with one paw, threw it into the sandy stream bed, and lunged on top of it. He killed it quickly with one sharp bite.
Firepaw carefully lifted the warm body between his teeth and returned with his tail held high to the hollow where Tiger Claw and Lionheart waited. He made his first kill. He was a true ThunderClan apprentice now. Okay, that was the end of chapter 5. I probably will not read more than this because my throat is starting to hurt a little bit. So we're on chapter 6 now. We're on page 70. We read 70 pages today. What do you guys think? It's okay if you weren't like following along the whole time and stuff, but yay. What did you think? I probably won't read so long again unless we do like another full like reading stream. Maybe I'll just do like a chapter or two after every other stream. But I just think it's quite nice, yes? I forgot who everyone is. No, there's Firepaw is the main character, Firepaw. His best buddy, Greypaw. They're currently being taught by Lionheart and Tiger Claw. The fellow apprentices are, what was it? Darkpaw? Shadowpaw? I think it was something, no, there's Dark Stripe. I think it's Shadowpaw. Ravenpaw, yeah, Ravenpaw. Ravenpaw and Sandpaw and, I don't know, Dustpaw? Smelly Paw and Stinky Paw. I like how Dustpaw and Sandpaw both, they have names like that, like they're twins, like they're Stinky and Smelly Paw, you know? Have we even seen Dustpaw yet? Yeah, we saw him. He was harassing Firepaw at the mouse pile in the morning. Right before they went to the meeting, they were both like dogging on They were both just like, I thought only one of them was rude. Like I thought maybe just Sandpaw was rude, but even Dustpaw and Sandpaw were like digging into him and they were just like,
fucking kitty pet fucking smells, kitty pet L, oh my god.
yeah, that was both of them. They were both being rude. Being a bunch of kitties. They're all kittens, the apprentices, so they're just being pranksters. I fucking love Greypaw though. Do you guys have a favorite character so far? I feel like Greypaw kind of stole the show. I feel like he was just so sweet. You know, he was constantly like, uh-oh, I'm sensing tension. Time to do something comic reliefy. Greypaw's always so good like that. Yeah, Greypaw is so base, dude. Oh my god, wait, you guys can watch... Wait, you guys can watch the memes now. Also, wait, let me show you guys. Look at this. Oops. Pulling it up. Look at our beautiful drawings everybody made while we were reading. Oh my gosh, thank you guys so much for participating in the art. Thank you for practicing this. I can't wait. Next time we read, I will probably have it pinned in the chat so everybody can try. But I did have it for subs. Oh my god, blue star! I love the blue star. Somebody over here drew... I smell cats. I see Bestie's beautiful art. And oh my god, I love this one too. I know you guys can't... Oh, you can see my mouse. This one is so good. Oh my god. Is this a fist? Is this his hand? Or is he being gripped? I can't tell if he's like giving up a big thumbs up or if he's being like choked. Everybody drew the fire too. I can't talk right now, Greypaw. I'm making dirt. Oh my god, I can't wait to like show you guys the history of like Warrior Cats memes and stuff. Hold on. I'll swap out of the... I just have to show you... I'll show you one for today. Because I feel like it's perfect for today. Wait, no, it's spoilers! No, I can't send it to you. It's fucking spoilers. Fuck me, no, it's massive spoilers. Fuck! Dude, why do their names have to spoil so much? That's my problem. I have the fucking... If anybody's a Warrior Cats fan, I was gonna show them the waffle time. Waffle time, it's waffle time! Firepaw doesn't like waffles? It's just like this fucking... It's this old meme where Greystripe is just... fuck! Greypaw. Fuck! Greypaw! Greypaw is singing the song and he's like, waffle time, it's waffle time. Do you want some waffles of mine? And he's like, Firepaw doesn't like waffles? Because he's like, fuck off, dude. And it's just like old internet cringe when people used to laugh about like, do you like waffles? Yeah, I like waffles.
Do you like pancakes? Yeah, I like pancakes. Yeah, okay, so I mean, like, that is a spoiler, I guess, is that I'm sorry, guys, to spoil that Greypaw does not die young and he, he actually becomes a warrior. Sorry for that mega spoiler. But I'm sure you're all happy to hear that he he thrives. So, yeah. Stay tuned for more, you guys, and hear about how Greypaw and Firepaw become warriors. Oh, I'm so happy. I hope this was a really fun first time doing like a reading stream and stuff. I'm gonna save the drawing everybody made and I'll post it and maybe we can just make a collection of our drawings through the book and stuff. And you guys let me know on Discord if you liked the book, if you'd like to hear it. If you want to hear this one particular to keep going, I'd love to keep reading it for you. Yay! Okay, I will probably end now. I'm sorry it was short today. I just had to do some other stuff off stream earlier. I did like hung out with the 3 a.m. on Patreon. If you guys played Peak with us, that was so much fun. It was good to see you. Okay. Next time I do this, it will probably be at the end of my other streams that I do of variety content. Unless I specify specifically today will be just a reading stream. But we will see. We will see. Thank you guys again. Okay. I'm gonna head out now. Good night. Good night. If anybody's sleeping, good night. Good night, sleepy heads. Good night. Oh my gosh, I hope the book made you feel so cozy. Good night, everybody. Waffle time, it's waffle time. Do you want these waffles of mine? The fire is seeping through my face. Oh my god. You guys don't want to know. Immersion ruined. Oh, I'm probably not gonna raid anybody today because I kind of like, I really take pride in how cozy I like worked for this. I tried my best to keep my voice down. So I'm probably not gonna raid just in case anybody's tucked in and they aren't ready to hear whatever's going on another stream right now. So this one's just gonna be an abrupt end. But thank you guys. Thank you to any resub and gift sub that I missed. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. And thank you for all the wonderful compliments about reading out loud and stuff. Thank you. Okay. See you guys another night. Bye bye.